This is black shirts, black shorts, white socks, underway, big roar, full house inside what's now called the Aku Stadium. Used to be the John Smith, so we would come here regularly in the Premier League on 5 Live. And let's see what the League One outfit can do against a Manchester City team who were frustrated to concede that very late equaliser at Arsenal on Sunday. City, who played very defensive in that game, lowest percentage of possession in any league game that Pep Guardiola had ever been in charge of. And with the 9 changes tonight, we will certainly expect City to see a lot more of the ball tonight, so.
Yeah, I think they will, and we obviously know, don't we, that Pep Guardiola can evolve this Manchester City side. It's something that he said he wants to do. They can play defensively if they need to. I don't think that's going to be the case tonight. I think they're very much going to keep possession, and they're going to look to break down a well-organised Huddersfield side.
The team's in full then. Lee Nicholls in goal for Huddersfield. Back 4 of Lasse Sorensen, Josh Feeney, who's on loan from Aston Villa, Murray Wallace and Sean Rowan. Then in midfield, Ben Wild alongside David Kasumu. Then there's Marcus Harness and Dan Vost either side. Vost, who's only 19, he's never played in the league for Huddersfield. This is his 3rd start in this competition. And then Redmond is behind Dion Charles, the Northern Irishman, in attack. City have possession, Trafford in goal for them. Strong back 4, Mateus Nunes, John Stones, Nathan Ake and Nico O'Reilly. In midfield it's Nico Gonzalez alongside Rico Lewis. And then an attacking 3, Oscar Bob, Divine Mukasa, who we've been discussing, and Savinho. And we're sort of expecting Phil Foden to hover in the false 9 position, but at the moment he's playing more like a number 10.
He is. I think it'll be very fluid, that front line at the moment. Mukasa looks like he's playing in that false 9, but I'm sure it will swap.
Chance for Huddersfield to come forward. The ball is rolled in front of Dion Charles, but all the way through to James Trafford, who dangerously shadowed over the ball, waiting for it to creep, slowly roll into his penalty area so he could pick it up. And Huddersfield fans baying because they thought there was a chance that he might have handled it outside the box and he could have been in enormous pressure. You know, we're just talking about how he would like a quiet night out of the spotlight this evening. That was a tricky one. I mean, he's got away with it, James Trafford. That was not the best moment for him to get his first touch of the ball.
Not at all. You wanted it to be a quiet night for him. That was a little bit nervy, and it's bound to be. He knows he's got that competition with Donnarumma. He wants to make sure that everything is perfect, but the ball just wouldn't roll into the area for him and nearly got closed down, but he got away with it.
Huddersfield have already claimed some scalps in this competition. They beat Leicester City over the Premier League last year in the first round, and then they beat Premier League Sunderland last time out. Both those games went to penalty shootouts. A reminder that in this competition, no extra time. If it's level at 90 minutes, it would be straight to a penalty shootout this evening. City have possession inside their own half. Mateus Nunes, who came on as a substitute at the Emirates on Sunday, dribbles up to the halfway line, plays a low pass to the near touchline, City's left, and picks out the Brazilian Savinho. Back in field to Nico Gonzalez, who launches one direct, but too direct, and it skips away through the Huddersfield Town penalty area and harmlessly out for a goal kick. Opening weeks of the new Premier League season, there has been an appearance that City are willing to go a little bit more direct. Everything doesn't have to be tick-a-tack or working their way up, Sue?
No, not at all, and it depends who they're playing against. It depends who's playing. I think with a false 9, maybe they won't do that as much because the players will drop in, but you see what Haaland can do, go from back to front so quickly, so going that little bit more direct certainly been effective for them.
Half-time in the Women's League Cup. Manchester City are playing Everton women this evening. Nick Hatton's watching.
Manchester City 1, Everton 0 at the break. Jade Rose's 20th minute goal, the difference as she fired home from a corner. Bunny Shaw and Grace Clinton have both gone close for City, while Everton have been a threat on the break. Vinola and Robinson both going close. So City dominant in possession, but their lead is slender. Half-time Manchester City 1, Everton 0.
Sorensen comes forward for Huddersfield Town. Clever run by Harness ahead of him to stay onside, but despite that little veer in his run, he was still offside as the pass was played, and the flag is raised by Mark Perry, who's the assistant down below us. And that is a free kick to Manchester City just outside their own penalty area. 0-0 here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds.
Yeah, it was a really good break though from Huddersfield Town there down this right hand side. Harness was just looking to arc his run, and he just went a little bit too early, but yeah, quite a positive break from them.
Manchester City have won this competition 4 times under Pep Guardiola in the past. And what about Spurs against Doncaster this evening? They'll be underway in North London. Here's Aaron Paul.
Spurs 0, Doncaster 0, 4 minutes played here. Great chance of Tottenham squandered by Matthias Tell. Brennan Johnson flying down the right, able to play the ball across the face of goal. Defender nowhere near it. Tell with the opportunity just to tap home. He swung his boot at fresh air and the ball ran away. Embarrassing miss, 0-0.
And if that's the game that most interests you tonight, Spurs against Doncaster, you can listen to full commentary right now on Sports Extra 3. Here on 5 Live, Nico O'Reilly, midway inside Huddersfield territory, loses possession, but he's fortunate that Nico Gonzalez is right beside him and City briefly win it back again. Not for long though. Kasumu plays a pass to Sorensen, who I think suspected he was offside, so he didn't even challenge for it, and the ball goes out of play for a throw into Manchester City. Left full back position for them and still 0-0.
Do you know that really aggressive in the press, Huddersfield Town? When Manchester City get the ball, they are trying to work it through the thirds, but in that midfield area, as soon as the ball goes in there, they're really pressing them with intensity and won it back a couple of times.
First time these clubs have met in this competition since the 1960s. Well, back then there were replays and it went to one back at the old main road. Savinho sends in across on the left hand side and it's going to be gathered by Mateus Nunes, corner edge of the penalty area on the right for Manchester City. Tries a little trick to go around Redmond, but well tracked all the way to the byline. Support is available from young Rico Lewis, and then back again into the midfield, and John Stones calming Preston Stones, who had started the first 3 Premier League games of this season and picked up a knock, and back in the team tonight looking to prove his fitness for Pep Guardiola. City with a very busy schedule at the moment. They're on a run of 6 games in 18 days. Savinho attacks the penalty area down the left hand side. Sorensen has to be careful. Does guide him to the byline, forces the Brazilian to turn. City still have possession, but there's been some sort of an altercation in the penalty area. Now that was off the ball, I didn't see that, but a free kick has been awarded to Huddersfield Town, and presumably someone's collided with someone inside the box.
Yeah, it's really difficult to see it. Obviously we were watching Manchester City playing the ball around, and yeah, I think it was just I think it was Makasa just challenging, and it's a stray hand in the face, and I think he's okay, he's up now.
Makasa into the face of the Irish defender Sean Rowan, who has played all but one of Huddersfield's league games this season. He's back up at his feet. Not a sort of forceful blow to the face, maybe a finger in the eye, that kind of thing. And play will resume with a free kick to Huddersfield Town, and their goalkeeper Lee Nichols wearing bright orange away to our left hand side. Lee Grant, who is the Huddersfield Town manager, one of only 2 managers in the top 4 flights who have played professionally as a goalkeeper. Now that would have included Nuno Espirito Santo up until recently, but of course he's between jobs at the moment. But the only other goalkeeper as a player, now manager in the top 4 flights, is the Bromley manager Andy Woodman. What's really interesting about Lee Grant, because he was saying, let's just talk about this, because Trafford inside his penalty area is under pressure as Charles springs in on top of him. Trafford deals with it well, rolls the ball out of the box, and Nico Gonzalez will play it up towards the halfway line. Lee Grant used to work under Kieran McKenna at Ipswich the past few seasons, but goalkeeper by trade. At Ipswich, his job was the forwards coach, which is very interesting.
Keepers love to be forwards, don't they, in training?
Up for the corners, yeah. Nathan Aki, 20 yards inside his own half, rolls it to John Stones. City come over the halfway line. City in the black shirts this evening. Savinho now bearing down on the penalty area, gives it into Phil Foden. Foden with the outside of the left boot plays a pass that's somewhat behind Rico Lewis, who sprints back to collect it. Lewis now will come and attack the penalty area. Nico Gonzalez will give it back into John Stones again. City's so difficult to destabilise when they're in possession, and Huddersfield know this is going to be a long night for them. They're going to do a lot of hard running off the ball to try and contain the team that has been Premier League champions in 4 of the last 5 seasons. Sorensen goes direct, but a really good ball. Looking for Redmond in a sprint up against Gonzalez, who beats him to it and nudges the ball back to the goalkeeper Trafford. After the ball was played back to the goalkeeper there, Redmond fell over, but the referee was close to it. I think it was Mateus Nunes who played it back to the keeper, and the referee, who is Michael Salisbury this evening, said no foul there.
Yeah, and it was right. I think Nunes did really well there. He just anticipated what was going to happen. That direct crossfield ball from Huddersfield Town, nearly in. But yeah, no foul for me.
Here comes Rico Oscar Bob into the penalty area, drops his shoulder, runs past the first 3 defenders, nearly gets past 4. Chance for a shot, and Mukasa finds it blocked. He was on the edge of the 6-yard box, defender right in front of him. I think it was Murray Wallace, but that's the first attempted goal for this 18-year-old Divine Mukasa, who's making his Manchester City debut in attack tonight. Good defending from Huddersfield to keep this game at 0-0. This is 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Third round of the Carabao Cup. We're live at the Aku Stadium in West Yorkshire. Phil Foden in possession, 10 yards outside the penalty area. Gives it to Oscar Bob on the right-hand side. 4 City players waiting inside the penalty area, but this is a patient build-up and they'll turn and roll it back to John Stones.
And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're just trying to knock the ball around, going from left to right, trying to draw Huddersfield Town out, but we know that they can find spaces in between those lines, in between those ranks, and yeah, Huddersfield at the moment are just keeping them in front of them.
Savinho back to Nathan Aki. And then infield again to John Stones, some 10 yards inside his own half. Rolls it to his right-hand side to Mateus Nunes. Now an acceleration from Phil Foden, but he runs into Redmond and he's well tackled. And then the chance of a counter-attack breaks down because of a wonderful interception from Nico Gonzalez. That's the sort of opportunity that Huddersfield will hope to capitalise tonight. They can win a tackle, spring a counter-attack and maybe catch out a Manchester City defence who in recent times probably hasn't been as, non-porous as they'd like to be. Here's the chance of a break to the byline down the right-hand side, and City are going to get a corner.
That's exactly what they're looking to do, Huddersfield Town. You can see as soon as they win the ball back, it's can we go quickly and can we go with that quality pass? And unfortunately there for Redmond, it was cut out by Gonzalez.
Corner to Manchester City. Phil Foden is going to take it. And City, who are yet to score from a set piece this season. Can Foden conjure up something here? Plenty to aim for in the penalty area as it comes in. Goalkeeper stays on the goal line. Headed down, and it's Mukasa who got his head to it. It was goal bound, but you'd barely even call it an attempt, and a comfortable save for the keeper.
Yeah, it was a delivery to the far post, and Mukasa managed to get himself free, and he's got to try and generate the power because it's sort of looped in rather than whipped in, and it's straight at the goalkeeper.
Yeah, just saw the replay. It kind of comes off his face more than his forehead. That's why he found it difficult to get the power on it. Huddersfield Town 0, Manchester City 0. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. The League Cup tonight. Huddersfield in possession into their own penalty area. Murray Wallace rolls it back to the goalkeeper Lee Nichols. Nichols confidently into the midfield to Marcus Harkness. And then Harkness sends one down the right wing. Good pass for Sorensen the Dane to sprint after, up against O'Reilly. Sorensen tries to take him on. O'Reilly's too quick. Gets back goal side. Uses his power to wins possession back for Manchester City in that left back position. And then calmly slots it into Nathan Ake onto the chest of Savinho. Perfect control from him, and City are away here. Rico Lewis, important challenge to stop him in the midfield by Ben Wiles. And Huddersfield are doing okay here in this opening quarter of an hour.
Yeah, I was really interested to see how they would play. Would they do their usual build-up? Would they look to sit back and look to hit on the counter? But they're actually doing both, and they're doing it very, very well. There's certainly a real character about this side.
It's been a long time since Huddersfield have got further than this stage of the competition. You've got to go back to the 90s. They beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. They would love this scalp. What a boost that would be. These early weeks of the campaign, but they're doing well in League One. They're up in the playoff positions already, 5th place of the table. But up against some serious firepower tonight. And yes, it might be 9 changes for Manchester City, but there is still an awful lot of medals on the pitch here. There's a lot of international caps. There is a lot of know-how in cup competitions for the visitors. Yeah,
there's a real mix as well, isn't there? You've got your experience, your Ake and your John Stones. You've also got that youth in Mukasa, so they've got a nice balance.
Here's Oscar Bob, right-hand side. Rolls it back to John Stones. Bob didn't fancy taking on Sean Rowan there. Stones will bring it through the midfield. Mateus Nunes with orange in his boots. Flicks it out to Savinho again, hugging the touchline on the left wing, as Manchester City wingers like to do, to make the pitch as wide as they can. Foden on the D, manages to get it out to Bob. Not the cleanest pass, but City remain on the attack here. And a chance for Rico Lewis to send in across here. He's very slow and casual. This is Oscar Bob. Floats one into the penalty area. Doesn't find a teammate. And warm applause from the Huddersfield fans as their team gets a goal kick. Huddersfield 0, Manchester City 0.
Yeah, and you can understand why the crowd are applauding their side. They're working very hard off the ball. They're trying to keep a good shape, make it difficult for Manchester City. And then when they go, they know that they've just got to have that quality in that final pass. And they could be in, but certainly a good start from Huddersfield Town.
Plenty live sport coming up on 5 Live in the coming days, including Ryder Cup this weekend. You're going to hear a lot of that across the network. On Saturday, a choice of listening at 3 o'clock. Crystal Palace against Liverpool will be on 5 Live. Chelsea against Brighton on Sports Extra. And on Sunday, we'll have live commentary of Aston Villa against Fulham at 2 p.m. on 5 Live, with Newcastle against Arsenal on Sports Extra from 4. Free kick to Manchester City just outside the penalty area that they attack. A foul on Rico Lewis, and Huddersfield forced to bring everyone back behind the ball again. 0-0 here.
I think Manchester City were going to play the quick free kick then and realise that Huddersfield Town had actually got themselves back into shape, so they're now setting up for that delivery into the box.
So this is wide on the right hand side, fewer than 10 yards outside the penalty area. There is a goal at Tottenham, but we're going to wait till after this free kick to go and hear about it. Foden standing over the ball. Promising location this for Manchester City, who have filled their allocation. Around about 3,500 away fans in here tonight. Foden plays it in dangerously. The ball is headed away, and we go to Aaron Paul at Spurs. Aaron.
Spurs 1, Doncaster 0. João Paulinho with an overhead kick around the penalty spot. The initial corner played in, goalkeeper punched it away. It actually punched towards his own goal. It was headed off the line by a defender, and Paulinho picked up the scraps to overhead kick and put Spurs into the lead here. Tottenham 1, Doncaster 0.
That is the first of the goals in the third round of the League Cup tonight. This season's round 3 fixtures, which have been spread across 2 weeks. Grimsby, Brentford, Palace, Swansea, they all booked their place in the next round with victories last week. Last night, Brighton won 6-0 away at Barnsley. Cardiff beat Premier League Burnley. There were wins against lower league opponents for Fulham, Chelsea, Liverpool, with Wycombe, Wolves, Wrexham already through, and the draw for the 4th round will take place later on tonight. We'll bring you details of it here on 5 Live. Sorensen does well against Savinho, got very close to the Brazilian that time, cut him out at source, but City get it back again. Aki returns it to Savinho, long searching ball, looks for Oscar Bob, who controls it just inside the penalty area. Then he's got to step out of the box to hold on to possession. Foden's there in support. City trying to fizz it around the edge of the Huddersfield Town penalty area, but Huddersfield do well and they force City back. The Premier League team hold on to possession, but they're no longer on the edge of the Huddersfield box.
No, they're not. Manchester City are used to this, trying to just draw a team out, trying to find the spaces. They'll keep the ball as long as they can. They'll be really slow in the build-up, and then suddenly they'll just go, and that's what Huddersfield need to just be aware of.
The League Cup was the first trophy that Pep Guardiola won in English football, sparking what's been a fantastic run of success for him, but he'll have been disappointed by last campaign, Pep, and he would like to lift this particular piece of silverware along with others this campaign. Aki has possession midway inside the Huddersfield Town half, gives it to the left wing to Savinho, back in field to Nico O'Reilly. It's so fluid, this City. You know, it's not just the wing backs who pop in, but in midfield. Mentioned Foden floating around. Rico Lewis sometimes up as the striker, sometimes back as a more defensive midfield player. I always say when you try and draw a Manchester City formation, they're trying to draw water. You know, how do you do it? Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get news of some action in the Newcastle-Bradford game in this competition. Here's Haley Barber.
Bradford have started really well, but it's Newcastle who take the lead through Joe Linton. Anthony Gordon's shot from the edge of the penalty area blocked. It fell kindly to Joe Linton, who took a touch and then side-footed it into the bottom corner. Newcastle 1, Bradford 0.
Goals are flowing. Back to Aaron Paul at Spurs Doncaster.
Spurs 2, Doncaster 0. It's an own goal now. Jay McGrath hooking the ball into his own net. Good work by Oliver down the left, and McGrath hooked it in past the goalkeeper. 2-0 Spurs.
And Manchester City take the lead in Huddersfield, and it's Phil Foden, a low drive from the edge of the penalty area. It didn't seem to be extremely powerful, but it was extremely accurate, and the outstretched arm of Lee Nichols, the goalkeeper, just couldn't extend to get there. That is an accurate Premier League quality finish from Phil Foden, and it gives Manchester City the lead in the 18th minute here at the Yaku Stadium.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant from Phil Foden. It starts on the right-hand side, and it's real intricate play from Manchester City. It's a lovely 1-2, and he's just on the edge of the area, gets it onto his left foot, and just that precision to hit it back across goal into that far corner. The goalkeeper, Lee Nichols, has absolutely no chance.
Phil Foden, who scored against Manchester United in the derby 10-11 days ago. That was his first start to the new campaign. Tonight, his second goal in all competitions. So Premier League, Manchester City in front here away at Huddersfield. And we go back to Newcastle, Bradford and Haley Barber.
Where Newcastle have doubled their lead in quick fire time. Beautifully weighted ball through from Bruno Guimaraes into the path of William Oshola. He was composed with his finish, slid it past goalkeeper Sam Walker to make it Newcastle 2, Bradford 0.
Right, not much cup romance around in the EFL Cup this evening, with the Premier League teams doing well against their lower league opponents. City leading Huddersfield here. Newcastle and Spurs both 2 up against Bradford and Doncaster respectively, but a long way to go in these 7:45 kickoffs. And don't forget, Port Vale against Arsenal kicks off. Well, probably is now underway, having kicked off at 8 o'clock. But 1-0, Phil Foden, a reminder of the power that City have brought with them tonight, Sue.
Oh, absolutely. It's just the quality when he gets on the ball, the way he finds space, the way that he moves into those areas, and then it's just how clinical he is when he gets in front of goal. It's great to see Phil Foden back and playing at this level. Obviously, last season was difficult for him with injuries and other things, but, you know, when he's at his best, he's unstoppable.
City did, of course, score first at Arsenal at the weekend and weren't able to hold on. Somewhat different circumstances, of course. But let's get an update on how things have begun at Vale Park. You can listen to commentary of this game on Sports Extra 2 tonight. Lee Blakeman's watching Port Vale against Arsenal.
Port Vale 0, Arsenal 0. Arsenal have made 9 changes. Vale have started this game really brightly. The atmosphere, Connor's incredible. Vale have just won a corner or a throw-in by the corner flag. It was cheered like a goal. The atmosphere has been so good. But it's still Port Vale 0, Arsenal 0 so far.
Yeah, love that sort of thing in the early rounds of the League Cup. Port Vale will be trying to make life as difficult as they can for Arsenal as the evening progresses. We'll be back with Lee regularly for updates. Here's Oscar Bob on the attack for Manchester City. Huddersfield have started well, disappointed to concede that goal, but not much you can legislate against that sort of quality from Phil Foden. The way he just weaved his way into the position. Goalkeeper possibly unsighted too. There were so many bodies in the way, but a very accurate finish from Foden. Didn't blast it, really picked his spot.
Yeah, he did, and that's exactly what he can do. But when Manchester City move the ball quickly like that 1 and 2 touch, they're very difficult to stop.
City have possession. Nathan Ake, 15 yards or so outside the penalty area that they attack. Gives it infield to Phil Foden. Feels like Foden's really been given the free roll tonight. He's got license to go where he chooses. A lovely trick from Oscar Bob on the far side. That was magic. Then he sends a cross into the middle. And Ben Walls is back there to try and hit the ball away. But Huddersfield are finding themselves very much sieged in their own penalty area now as the ball goes out of play for a throw into Huddersfield. I like that. I'm sure that will go on social media. A little slow motion replay of Oscar Bob's trickery and wizardry there.
Oh, it was brilliant. It's just the way that he just manoeuvres the ball. You think he's going to go backwards, straight away he goes forwards, and the defender doesn't know where he is. He completely wrong foots him, and he's just got that quality, hasn't he? And again, a player, it's great to see him back fit.
That was a real, what I would call a 5-a-side move. You know, you rarely see that in the 11-a-side game. A little drag back under the studs, then go the way that you pretended you weren't. It was really good from Oscar Bob. Nathan Ake gives the ball short to Nico O'Reilly on the left-hand side of the midfield for Manchester City. Out to Savinho. City really dominating the possession now. Savinho makes the burst towards the byline. Sorensen trying to keep up with it. Does well, actually. Savinho still has possession, but he hasn't been able to deliver it into the box. Now he makes the shuffle. Sorensen comes and makes a crunch. That hasn't quite cleared it away, though. Chance for Mukasa. He slides down, tries to shoot, can't get the shot away. In there as well was Rico Lewis. City threatening, but not with the final touch that would have been required, and Huddersfield hanging on, trailing as they do by a goal to 0 here.
Yeah, they're really hanging on, and Manchester City just completely dominating the ball, and they're just trying to find openings. That time it was a delivery into the box, and Huddersfield just about managed to clear.
Manchester City in possession. Nico Gonzalez will turn and roll it into the midfield. Right across the board, it's been a strong start for the Premier League clubs this evening. What about Arsenal away at Port Vale, Lee Blakeman?
Eza's got his first goal for Arsenal. Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1. Good work by Martinelli down the left. Gave it to Eza, 12 yards out, and he just passed it past goalkeeper Joe Gauci. 8 minutes gone. Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1.
You will hear people say that the Premier League teams don't take this competition seriously, but look at the scorelines tonight. Premier League clubs all scorching into early leads. City looking to double theirs here. Savinho's cross, sting taken out of it by Sorensen. Ball still active in the penalty area, and Sorensen gets a second bite and is able to clear the ball away. Now it's a big night for Nottingham Forest. Back in European football. They are in Spain at Betis, and Charlie Slater's keeping an eye on this one for us. Charlie.
6 minutes gone. It's Betis 0, Nottingham Forest 0. A bit of a fitful start to the game. very broken up. Betis enjoying the best of it as Forest get to grips with European football for the first time in 3 decades. 0-0.
Thanks very much, Charlie. Rangers will play Genk in that competition tomorrow. Red Star against Celtic this evening. Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, we're 3 minutes in, Connor. It's 0-0 at the moment. Celtic enjoying the vast majority of the possession, but not a lot happening. Red Star 0, Celtic 0.
Thanks very much, Gavin. Here Nathan Ake has possession for Manchester City, gives it to Savinho in off the near touchline. Another little trick there was eye-catching. Gives possession to Mateus Nunes, tries to return it to Savinho, who'd made a run into the penalty area. Now Nico Gonzalez wins it on the edge of the box. This is a chance to cross for Mukasa. He was looking for Rico Lewis in the middle, but Huddersfield Town are able to clear that one away. If you're just joining us, Huddersfield Town 0, Manchester City 1. Phil Foden with the opening goal after 18 minutes, and alongside me is Sue Smith.
Yeah, they just can't get a grip. Huddersfield at the moment, they win the ball back and they just give it straight back to Manchester City. They just need to string a few passes together, build that confidence up again.
You can listen to the Red Star Belgrade against Celtic game on Sports Extra, by the way. Here comes Oscar Bob down the right hand side into the penalty area, runs into a defender and goes down. And there's appeals for a penalty for Manchester City, but the referee Michael Salisbury waves those appeals away. He feels that Oscar Bob just ran into the defender there. I have to say that's my view without seeing any sort of close-up replay. Bob gets it back again inside the box, backheel from Rico Lewis, cleared away by Murray Wallace, but Huddersfield can't catch a break at the moment as City come at them, wave after wave of attack again. Bob, lovely turn of balance, little flick touch from Rico Lewis, too fancy though, and Marcus Harness is able to pick up the ball and break away towards the halfway line, and he tries to roll it in front of Sorensen, but Ake has the head start and Manchester City immediately regain possession again. City still 1-0 in front here at Huddersfield.
Oh, there's some brilliant play from Manchester City, the way that they're moving the ball and the way that they're interchanging positions. It's so difficult. I'm just watching O'Reilly, he's a left back, but he's centrally, he's more of an inverted left back. He's going into those central areas and just creating overloads, and again it's difficult for Huddersfield to get onto the ball in those midfield areas.
Well, Oscar Bob's having quite a few minutes here. He's seeing a lot of the ball. Rico Lewis in this almost attacking midfield role we've not seen before. He's fouled towards the edge of the penalty area, and City are going to get a free kick here within shooting range. This is 4 or 5 yards outside the penalty area, slightly to the right of the D, but very much a central location, and very much potential of a shot at goal here.
Oh yeah, it's a great distance for, you think Phil Foden's there. I don't know who else is standing over the ball at the moment, but there's a few that are certainly capable of pinging it in from here, but it's a definite foul. Mukasa as well, just pulls off his defender, and the defender's coming out trying to stay close to him, and yeah, it was always going to bring him down. But again, that movement, Mukasa comes deep, then you've got runners in beyond. Really fluid from Manchester City.
So free kick to Manchester City, just outside the penalty area. Third round night in the EFL Cup on 5 Live. There are 4 matches taking place this evening, and it's Premier League clubs who lead in all of them. Foden, who has scored the goal for City here, looks odds-on to be the player to take this free kick. Lee Nichols trying to marshal his wall, and Foden strikes it, but for the moment it left his boot. You knew that was sailing over the crossbar, and he did so well for the goal, Phil Foden. That's not one to remember for him there. So Manchester City's men's team doing well in the EFL Cup here. What about the women's in the Women's League Cup final? Manchester City against Everton. Nick Hatton.
54 minutes gone, Manchester City 2, Everton 0. Yui Hasegawa with the goal. Vivian Miedemar through on goal for a good save out of Ramsey. And there was Hasegawa to finish off from 6 yards out. Manchester City 2, Everton 0.
Thanks very much. Draw for the 4th round of this competition comes from later on this evening. They will do it once the Port Vale Arsenal game has ended. The winner of this tie, Huddersfield Town against Manchester City, will be lucky number 13 in that draw, if you're listening out for the numbers later on. This is Divine Mukasa on his Manchester City debut. Started out in the West Ham Academy. John Stones tries to play it out to Oscar Bob, as most of the City players have been doing recently, but that's not the best pass you've ever seen from Stones, and it goes out for a goal kick to Huddersfield, who trail here by a goal to 0. So Sue Smith, almost half an hour in, 1-0 down. This isn't the end of the world for Lee Grant. He'll certainly envisioned this sort of scenario. He'll know his team still have a chance of getting back into this.
Oh yeah, a 1-0 definitely, and that's, I'm sure, what he'll be saying to his side if it's still 1-0 at half-time, that you are still in this game. He'll have said to them, be prepared to work off the ball. Manchester City are going to have a lot of it. Make sure you're disciplined in that defensive unit, which they have been on the whole, but then it's just about that quality when they've gone forward. They give it away probably a few too many times.
Sapiquero Redmond cut offside, player on loan from Aston Villa. Free kick to City, and they immediately resume their stance deep inside Huddersfield territory. City's possession stats have been over 80% so far. No great surprise there as we reach the 30th minute of the game. Nico O'Reilly gives it to Nico Gonzalez. Lots of movement ahead of him as he chooses a short ball to his right-hand side to Mateus Nunes. And then, as so many of City's attacks have focused, it's down the right-hand side with Oscar Bob. Huddersfield, all their players in their final third now. Mateus Nunes to the byline down the right-hand side. 3 black shirts waiting for a cross in the centre. Comes back though to Foden, more centrally but deeper, and he'll turn and roll it back to his England international colleague John Stones. City very much in control after Foden's 18th minute opener here. Crossfield ball lands right on the instep of Savinho. Immediately attacks Sorensen, drills in a low cross which Josh Feely is able to clear away, just stabbed it away on the edge of the 6-yard box for Huddersfield.
Good positioning from Feely, exactly what he needs to do, but that's what Manchester City can do. When Huddersfield are staying very central and saying you're not coming through us like this, they'll just play the ball out wide.
Oscar Bob again, 10 yards from the byline on the right hand side, dancing, shadow boxing over the ball, gives it back to Mateus Nunes, back to Oscar Bob, the Norwegian once again. Then he finds the spare man, which City always seem to have. This time it's Foden. John Stones gets a little pocket of space and then chips it over to the near touchline to Savinho, and he's got movement ahead of him from Mukasa. Mukasa's cross is rather tame though, but Huddersfield can't hold on to possession, and City have it back again with Nathan Ake. He plays a little 1-2 at Nico O'Reilly, and it's a real whir of passes from Manchester City at the moment. Mukasa plays a 1-2 with Savinho, tries to drill in the shot, it clips the heels of Josh Feely, and Manchester City get themselves another corner. City leading by a goal to nil away at Huddersfield.
Yeah, I think from a Huddersfield perspective, they've just got to try and keep the ball a little bit more. When they win it back, it's just coming straight back on them, and Manchester City straight on the attack. That time Mukasa, little 1-2, that deflected shot then goes out for a corner, so they're defending yet again.
John Stones has gone forward for this one. Phil Foden to take. He's on the left-hand side as City come forward. He raises his left hand as a signal, sends it in towards the edge of the box. Ake with the touch, and it almost set up for Nico Gonzalez there, but good work to bring it out of defence from Murray Wallace, who's fouled, and that's going to be a free kick. In fact, that was Sean Rowan who took it out of the penalty area. He was fouled, and that is a free kick to Huddersfield Town midway inside their own half. So Lee Nichols, the goalkeeper, will come way out of his penalty area, or he was going to take this until he was ushered backwards by Murray Wallace. Manchester City, who have forged one big opening, but it's not exactly like they're peppering Lee Nichols' goal mouth with shots. It's a lot of possession from Pep Guardiola's team, but they really are patient to wait for the gilt-edged opportunities.
Yeah, and I think it's always difficult, isn't it, when you're playing against the side that are sitting back and saying, OK, come and try and break us down, and Manchester City are very used to that and very capable of doing it.
Ball sits up inside the penalty area for Redmond, but it sat up. By the time it came down again, he was closed down by a combination of Stones and I think Foden back there to unsettle, and the shot was high and not very handsome in the end as it sailed over the crossbar. Yeah, it just wouldn't come down, would it, for him? It was just a long ball in, and they win the first header, and when it falls to Redmond, he heads it, but it won't go down for him, and as he's striking the ball, he's underneath it, and it was always going to go over the bar. Sepequeno, Redmond, Dutch forward on loan from Aston Villa, yet to start a game for Huddersfield. 2 sub-appearances in League One so far. Gets the starting position tonight and thought for a moment he was going to get a clean shooting opportunity there, but City worked hard to close it down. Now, goal in the Europa League, Betis against Nottingham Forest. Charlie Slater.
It's Betis who lead. Long ball over the top. It eventually finds its way to the former Manchester United man, Anthony. He finds Cedric Bakambu, who rockets it into the top corner of the net. There is a VAR check on for offside. Let you know in a bit. Betis 1, Forest 0.
Thanks very much, Charlie. It's interesting to hear the name Anthony there with the likes of Rasmus Højlund and McTominay doing well in Italy with Napoli, and Marcus Rashford scoring 2 of the Champions League last week for Barcelona. Anthony now with the Betis team leading Forest in the Europa League. So many of those Manchester United outcasts, if you were, doing well elsewhere. This is Sorensen on the attack down the right hand side for Huddersfield, and Nico O'Reilly comes across very composed, wins possession back for Manchester City. He's done really well, Nico O'Reilly, sort of on the fringes last season, but this really could be his breakthrough campaign where he becomes a regular in what's been that difficult left full-back position for Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, he's been excellent, and you can see tonight that he's very much, he can be the left-back and the defensive left-back as we've just seen there, but he does go into those central areas and invert, if you like, what Pep Guardiola likes to say, and create overloads. He's very technically gifted.
So they brought in, of course, Riyad Aït-Nouri, expected to be the left-back, but he's been injured. And this is Mateus Nunes, just to confirm that Real Betis goal does stand after review. And so Nottingham Forest trailing on their return to European football. Nico O'Reilly 10 yards inside the Huddersfield half, turns and calmly rolls the ball back to Nathan Ake. City leading 1-0 away from home in the Carabao Cup against Huddersfield Town tonight. This is Savinho just outside the penalty area. The City attack plays a little 1-2 with Divine Mukasa. Mukasa, who's been on the bench in recent Premier League games. A few less than familiar names on the bench, albeit with plenty pedigree for City tonight. Two of the sons of former England striker Emile Heskey are on the City bench tonight. Jadon Heskey and Regan Heskey. We may get to see a little bit of them at some stage later on. But it's interesting, it's not all kids tonight. He's got Ruben Diaz, he's got Bernardo Silva, Tijani Reinders. Pep Guardiola's not taking any chances. If this wasn't going well, he's got a few in case of emergency break glass options there on the bench.
Yeah, yes, he's got that is just a strength in depth, isn't it, that Manchester City have, that if things don't quite go right, he can bring them on.
So Newcastle leading League One Bradford City. Palhinha scored the overhead kick as Tottenham 2-0 up in Doncaster. Eberechi Eze scored his first Arsenal goal. They're 1-0 up away at Port Vale. And here on 5 Live, Phil Foden's goal as Manchester City in front against Huddersfield Town. James Trafford wearing all pink. One nervous moment in the early seconds of this game when he was in danger of picking up the ball outside his own penalty area, but he's not really any firm shots to save yet. Interesting that City don't have Ortega on the bench tonight. Donnarumma is on the bench, should there be any requirement to change goalkeepers from a Manchester City point of view. Let's go back to that Betis against Nottingham Forest game. Charlie.
Where Forest have equalised no less than 3 minutes or so, having gone behind. Lovely move as Morgan Gibbs-White puts it on a plate for Igor Jesus to score his first goal in European football. 18 gone. Real Betis 1, Nottingham Forest 1.
That's what you call an instant response from Nottingham Forest. Oscar Bob, another good trick from him to nip in between two defenders and find some space. He's looked really sharp tonight, the Norwegian. City have possession, wide on the far side of the pitch from us. Then John Stones has it closer to the halfway line. Gives it back out to Oscar Bob on the right touchline. Fancies a little run here, drops the shoulder. So good at changing direction at pace is Oscar Bob. Support behind from Stones, who plays a crossfield ball here, all the way over to the other side of the box. Savinho controls on his instep, 2 step overs, then he holds the ball underneath his studs, eyes up, scanning the horizon, picks out Mateus Nunes as the best option to pass to, back over to the right wing again to John Stones. Now Oscar Bob has it down near the corner flank that City attack, and again this will all be expending energy for Huddersfield, who tried to contain a very expansive Manchester City attack. 37 minutes on the clock, 1-0 City lead. Phil Foden scored the goal, he's in possession here, whips a crossfield ball all the way over to Bob again. It's almost like they're skipping out the penalty here, one wing to the other 3 or 4 times for Manchester City.
Yeah, it was. Again, they're just trying to open up this Huddersfield back line,
and here is a ball into the penalty area. Rico Lewis sends a dangerous pass along the edge of the 6-yard box, but no teammate on his wavelength to get in on the end of it, and in the end it's shielded out and for a goal kick. But that was the right idea from Rico Lewis there.
Yeah, it was, because it was too tight an angle to have a shot. It initiates, it's Foden that plays the ball to Rico Lewis on that right hand side. He's at the far post and he's just trying to hit it back across goal. Mukassa's in there but can't quite pick out a teammate. It'd have been too tight an angle to have a shot from there.
There is Ryder Cup coverage across 5 Live and Sports Extra this weekend. Tomorrow at 8 p.m, Mark Chapman will present a preview programme from the Bethpage course in New York, and on Friday commentary of the 4 balls on day 1. You can listen live on 5 Live from 12 noon. And that is always an appointment to listen to radio at the Ryder Cup on 5 Live. Right, it's about time we check back in with events at St James's Park. Newcastle have got off to a good start against Bradford. What's the latest? Daily Barber.
Still Newcastle leading by 2-0. It's been all Newcastle since they scored those goals in the space of just 2 minutes. early in the first half. They've got a free kick here, and it's really been opportunities for Newcastle. Ursula, Gordon both had chances to put Newcastle further ahead, but as it is, they are very comfortable. Newcastle 2, Bradford 0.
Thanks very much. Manchester City on the attack here. Foden pings one out to Oscar Bob, and it was a great attempt of a pass. It really was. And you rarely say that when it misses the target and goes out for a throw-in, but that was a very Phil Foden attempt of a crossfield. I mean, that must have travelled, 65 yards?
Yeah, you can see exactly what he was trying to do. It just skidded off the turf, and Oscar Bob couldn't quite get on it, but how lively have both of those two been? They've been absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely. Tottenham have started lively tonight. How are they faring in recent minutes against Doncaster Rovers? Aaron Paul.
It's all Spurs, Connor. Tottenham 2, Doncaster 0. They should have more. Tell and Gray forcing really good saves out of Ian Lawler in the Doncaster goal. Rodrigo Bentancur has headed wide. The League One team being schooled somewhat here. Oh wow, we've just seen a fabulous chance of them, and they've just clipped the post. Owen Bailey on the volley. It was tipped onto the post by Kinski. What a chance of Doncaster. Still Spurs lead here by 2 goals to 0.
And a chance here for Huddersfield Town, their best of the game. 5 minutes to go to the break. It's a shot wide of James Trafford's goal, but Manchester City, given their first scare of the evening there, it was an attack down the left-hand side. Ball came in low across the edge of the 6-yard box, but the low shot flashed in front of James Trafford, and it was several yards wide in the end. It was Ben Wiles who came forward. 2 league goals for him this season in the 3rd tier. That is hands down Huddersfield's best chance of the night here.
Oh, it's their best opportunity. The way that they went forward, Redmond on that left-hand side, who has been quite lively and beats his man and then just delivers it across. Ben Wiles makes that run into the box, which we know he's got that capability to do that well-timed run, but they just can't test Trafford in the Manchester City goal. But yeah, should give them a little bit of confidence that.
Just a break in play here because there is a Huddersfield Town player, I think it's Zapaqueno Redmond, who's down needing some treatment. Lee Grant will take advantage of this little delay in play to host an impromptu team talk down at the touchlines. Opening 18 or so minutes of this game, Huddersfield were toe-to-toe with Manchester City. The Foden goal certainly tipped the scales in the favour of the Premier League side, but Huddersfield are hanging in here, and City haven't been able to add to that lead as we approach the break. Let's go back for details of how Forest are getting on back in the Europa League. Betis against Nottingham Forest. Charlie Slater.
They're doing very well indeed, and now lead by 2 goals to 1. Igor Jesus again, a corner kick in swinging edge of the 6-yard box. Igor Jesus again, 2 goals in the space of 9 minutes. It's gone from 1-0 to Real Betis to 2-1 to Nottingham Forest.
Wow, that is quite the turnaround, and Forest fans will be delighted with that. We'll keep you up to date with events in Spain with Charlie as the evening progresses. Pep Guardiola, we're just seeing a close-up here on our monitor. He is giving a very, very intense team talk to his players here while they wait for Redmond to finish his treatment on the pitch. While we wait for play to get back underway, let's snip back to Vale Park and Lee Blakeman.
27 minutes gone, Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1. Eza's goal separates the 2 teams. This game, though, Connor's been so one-sided. To highlight that, Arsenal's possession is 86%, and the passing stats a few moments ago, Arsenal 264, Port Vale 44. Incredible. 27 gone, Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1.
What about Celtic away at Red Star? Gavin Wallace.
21 on the clock, Connor. They're still drawing 0-0. They've got to watch, though. They're not stopping the crosses. One came in a minute ago there. Ivanic with a free header, and he just put it beyond Schmeichel's post. Red Star 0, Celtic 0.
Thanks very much. Last time that Red Star faced a Scottish opponent was 1968 in the old European Cup. Celtic playing in that Europa League competition for the first time since 2021 tonight. And here at Huddersfield, we are back underway with Manchester City leading by 1-0 thanks to that well-taken strike from Phil Foden. That's been the most classy moment for Manchester City tonight. There's been glimpses, but they are struggling to create clear-cut opportunities against League One opposition here, and I think that was in some part contributing to how intense that little team talk was from Pep Guardiola. Mateus Nunes' possession inside the Huddersfield half, gives it short to Nico Gonzalez, helped on by O'Reilly, to Savigno on the left-hand side, pulls it back to the edge of the D. Rico Lewis helps it on. Mateus Nunes onto Oscar Bob. This is all happening on the periphery of the penalty area. City, that is their domain. They're holding it almost uncompeted against. wide on the left wing, wide on the right wing, around the D of the pillar, but they're not getting into the penalty area itself, Sue Smith.
No, and Huddersfield Town will be quite happy with that, just keeping them in front, but they're just trying to work the opening, and I think Pep Guardiola's probably saying, when you move it 1 and 2 touch.
Here's Savinho, low ball into the box, but Murray Wallace, well positioned, clears the ball away.
Yeah, you cause problems, and that's exactly what they did there. They shifted it from right to left, good delivery into the box, and Foden just couldn't quite get onto the end of it.
Last time these sides met was in the FA Cup last year, 2024. City beat Huddersfield 5-0 that day. Phil Foden scored twice in the match. Foden, the goal scorer, separating the teams as we approach half-time here. Savinho into the penalty area. Sorensen did well there, had to be really careful. He was in the penalty area, he sort of went in with a fair shoulder charge, and he didn't even concede a corner. It's a goal kick to Huddersfield. Excellent defending for the Dane.
Yeah, really good defending there, and every time Savinho gets the ball, he wants to face up his defenders. It's Sorensen in this instance. Kasumo comes across to try and help him out as well, but just uses his body well, Sorensen, and we're used to seeing Sorensen when he plays for Huddersfield Town getting forward and being that extra option on the right hand side, but he's had to do so much defending tonight. It's been difficult for him.
Last time City played here at this stadium was in the Premier League 2019. City won 3-0 that day. Very much different names in the team sheet back then. The goal scorers were Danilo, Raheem Sterling and Leroy Sané, who scored the goals as Manchester City won here when Huddersfield were a top flight team some 6 years ago. Was that 3 minutes that were held up? Yeah, 3 minutes for stoppages here. 5 live on BBC Sounds, the Aku Stadium, and City in front, but this is far from done and dusted yet.
Yeah, I think Lee Grant will be quite happy if he can go in at 1-0 down. He'll say that you're still in this, you get one opportunity, you've got to take it against this Manchester City side.
City have it with Nathan Ake near the centre circle, sprays it out to Oscar Bob again. He allows it to bounce, he backpedals away so the ball runs right into him. Support behind from Mateus Nunes up from right back. Been really intrigued by Rico Lewis's position tonight. He's got, it's almost like him and Foden have each got this free role where they can hover wherever they want. They keep finding space. Foden chips it towards Savinho, but Sorensen has done really well against the Brazilian tonight. We've mentioned it a few times, and Sorensen intercepts there. You can hear the applause around the stadium for that.
Yeah, he did excellent, and again it was nice play on the right hand side, dinked over to Savinho, but he just read the situation, Sorensen.
City in possession again. Mateus Nunes. Huddersfield Town just hoping one little City mistake, something that might just open the door ajar a little bit and give them an opportunity. Savinho on the halfway line. Well, he does give the ball away here. Can Huddersfield do something with this? They have it at the back. Murray Wallace into the midfield. It's so difficult against City. Kasumu, they hold on to it, but they've got to retreat. Sorensen, and he rolls it all the way back to the goalkeeper now. That's probably the first time in the game that Huddersfield have put 7-8 passes together. Now, they were going backwards, but at least they had that run of passes.
Yeah, they did, and it's so difficult against the Manchester City side. We obviously praise them for how good they are going forward, but they're also so good defensively. When they lose the ball, they just swarm you to win it back, and that's exactly what they did there. Won the ball back from Huddersfield. Even though they had 5 or 6 passes, they still won it back in the end.
Frightening how they do. I mean, Liverpool do that so well also. When they lose that first sort of 5-6 seconds, it's like they all go. Swarm is the word used, and very accurately they just suffocate the opponent's chances of holding on to possession. Now, for the first time, a little bit of frustration has spilled over from all this pretty play that we've seen from Manchester City, and Rico Lewis has been fouled by Redmond, and that was the first sort of what I would say crunching tackle. He's late and he is stamped down. It actually doesn't look great in the replays at all here. He doesn't come, I use the word stamp, not from a real height, but comes in low and stamps down on the foot of Rico Lewis.
Yeah, it's clumsy, isn't it? And like you say, probably just a little bit frustrated. It's so hard when you've got to defend for so long without the ball. You've got to keep that concentration, and just think it was a little bit late there.
Yeah, there is no VAR here, so that won't be looked at in any great detail. I know some people will be devastated that there's no VAR, but just to explain how the rules work, because sometimes there is VAR in this competition, and how they determine it is if every home team in a round has got the facilities to host VAR, they will have it. But if even one team does it, there's the whistle for the half-time, they won't do it. And 2 seasons ago, Middlesbrough got all the way to the semi-final, and there wasn't any VAR used because they didn't have it at their ground. So the teams make their way towards the tunnel. The good news for City is that Rico Lewis is back up on his feet, albeit hobbling, and he's making his way off. Phil Foden has scored a very impressive goal, but City haven't been able to put Huddersfield to the sword. Sue Smith.
No, they haven't, and I think it's the game, or the first half has gone exactly how we expected it to go, where Manchester City would have had a lot of the ball. They'd be trying to break down Huddersfield. I've watched Huddersfield play in the league, and they don't play like this. They're a lot more defensive. In the league, they go after teams. They're very aggressive, they're intense, they press from the front. They've not been able to do that against Manchester City, so we might see a little bit more of that in the second half.
Now remember, Lee Grant made 7 changes from the league game at the weekend tonight. His Huddersfield team are working really hard, Steve. They've all the perspiration. They've got to keep that up for the second 45 minutes and try to add that little bit of inspiration as well. But this ain't over yet. Huddersfield Town 0, Manchester City 1.
Thanks both. We'll be back with you for second half commentary. Tommy Smith is with us all night. I mean, obviously we were watching Phil Foden and that goal, but I know you enjoyed Oscar Bob as well in that half.
I did, yeah. Listen, Oscar Bob's probably been the best Man City player on the pitch. Every time he gets the ball, he's trying to make things happen. From a Huddersfield point of view, I think Sue's just hit the nail on the head in terms of with Huddersfield and how they're approaching the game. It's clear they want to try and press and they want to try and be on the front foot, but against this Man City team you just can't do that. You really can't. I think if they try and do that, they're probably going to get exposed. The later the game goes on, if it stays 1-0, you might see a little bit of a change towards the end of the game, but I think for now they're doing a pretty good job at keeping Man City at bay.
They're kind of bang to rights, that aside, aren't they? I mean, they've just got to carry on doing what they've been doing realistically. Yeah,
listen, City have had all the ball, which I'm sure we all expected to be the case in the first half. I think they're about 82% possession. They've not really done a lot with it, but they are winning. But I think as long as it stays 1-0, Huddersfield are still in with a shout, and if they get, I don't know, the odd set piece or they might get the odd counter-attack, I think from Huddersfield's point of view, where the game is right now is exactly where they would want it to be. If it starts going to 2 and 3, then they're going to be in trouble.
So far, no sign of a shock at Huddersfield. In fact, that is true across the board in the League Cup this evening. Half-time in the game between Newcastle and Bradford City of League One. Ailey Barber.
Bradford started the brighter of the two sides. For 15 minutes they pressed, they harried. Bobby Poynton forced a really good save from Ramsdale, but then Newcastle began to show their class, and when Anthony Gordon's shot was blocked into the path of Joe Linton in the box, the Brazilian took the chance to fire the cup holders ahead. That breathed new life into Newcastle, and 2 minutes later Will Oshola doubled their lead. A beautifully weighted pass from Guimaraes into his path, great composure to slide it past the keeper. From then on it has been all Newcastle. Gordon in particular has been really lively, but there's been a real intensity to Newcastle in what has been a really professional display so far. At the break, it is Newcastle 2, Bradford 0.
What about Tottenham Doncaster Rovers? Aaron Paul.
Tottenham 2, Doncaster 0. Thomas Frank's side ahead and in control here, Steve. João Palhinha broke the deadlock with a bicycle kick after some slapdash Doncaster defending. 2 minutes later, and Jay McGrath deflected the ball into his own net following good work from Oliver down the left. And Spurs pushed some more. Tell seeing his shot beaten away by Lawler after an earlier poor miss, whilst Porro and Gray have also seen efforts saved by the keeper. Doncaster have got into good positions, but a lack of final third quality has been their Achilles heel, although they saw a stunning Owen Bailey effort tipped onto the post by Kinski. Think back to Di Canio, West Ham versus Wimbledon. It was a stunning flying volley matched by an equally good save at the break. Tottenham 2, Doncaster 0.
Yeah, one of those goals that you can just see in your mind's eye and you'll never forget that one, wasn't it? There has been a goal at Manchester City Everton in the Women's League Cup. Nick Hatton.
Manchester City 3, Everton 0. Viviana Miedemar with the third. Brilliant run down the left-hand side by Iman Benet. Cross into the box, and there was Miedemar to head home powerfully at the far post. Manchester City 3, Everton 0.
Let me just give you the other live scores in the Women's League Cup then. These games all in the last 15 minutes. Birmingham 2, Bristol City 1, Charlton 1, West Ham 3, Durham 1, Sheffield United 1, Liverpool 4, Sunderland 0, Portsmouth 0, Brighton 2, Spurs 0, Villa 0, Crystal Palace 1, London City Lionesses 1, Ipswich 1, Leicester 2. And there's a half-time score, which is Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle United 0. Let's go back to Port Vale Arsenal. Remember, this is an 8 o'clock kick-off in the League Cup. Lee Blakeman.
Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1. Ezra's goal the difference, but he should have had a second a few moments ago. He's just been played clean in, on goal, just the keeper to beat, and Joe Gauci made a good save to keep it at Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1 with 7 minutes to go until half-time.
Right, let's go into Europe, and Nottingham Forest in the Europa League at Real Betis. Do they still lead? Charlie Charlie Slater.
They do, and they're looking for more. This is remarkable football from Forest. 35 minutes on the clock. It's Real Betis 1, Nottingham Forest 2. All 3 goals coming in the space of 10 minutes. But Igor Jesus, so close to getting a hat-trick. He's everywhere at the moment. Like a wasp in a bottle. He's rattling around. He's flown into a challenge. Got a yellow card. The referee and the VAR looked at it. Could have been upgraded to a red. He's had one cleared off the line brilliantly by one of the Betis defenders. Callum Hudson-Odoi has hit the base of the post from all of a yard out. The only miracle is that it's not more for Forest at the moment, but playing brilliant stuff under Ange Postecoglou. 36 on the clock. Real Betis 1, Nottingham Forest 2.
And what about Celtic at Red Star Belgrade? Gavin Wallace.
They're still drawing 0-0 at the moment, Steve. We've just played over half an hour, and Bruno Duarte had a really good chance at the back post. How he missed, I do not know. He had the freedom of the Celtic 18-yard line, and he just put it by the post at the moment. But Radonjic seems to be the man in transition for Red Star at the moment. But 33 on the clock, Red Star 0, Celtic 0.
Second half commentary on the way then from Huddersfield. Huddersfield Town 0, Manchester City 1 at half time. Between now and then, we'll be getting a bit from our Barely Rugby podcast on the Rugby Union Weekly feed ahead of the Women's Rugby World Cup final on Saturday. England, of course, going for glory. So we'll do that after the news on 5 Live with Jill McKenzie.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, good evening. Scientists in London have developed a revolutionary new gene treatment for Huntington's disease. The condition's like a mix of dementia, Parkinson's and motor neurone disease. Scientists say the treatment could provide many more years of healthy life. Charles Sabine's brother died with Huntington's, and Charles also carries the gene.
This is a game changer for generations. Families like mine have had to suffer this dreadful disease without any hope whatsoever, a complete vacuum.
The first asylum seekers have arrived in the UK under the government's one-in, one-out deal with France. 4 migrants who crossed the channel in small boats have been sent back, and in their place, a family of 3, including a young child, has been allowed to come here. Our political editor Chris Mason has more details.
That family will have a 3-month visa, I'm told, with no right to work and no recourse to public funding, but they can apply to stay. The critics are saying unless this scheme scales up big time, it simply won't act as a disincentive for people getting on those boats.
The Home Office has ordered an urgent review of the use of taxis to take asylum seekers to NHS appointments. A BBC investigation found one journey cost £600. The BBC understands that plans to expand high-speed rail in the north of England have been pushed back. The Prime Minister had been due to announce a new line between Manchester and Liverpool at the Labour conference. It's thought long-term costs have delayed work on the Northern Powerhouse Rail project. Scientists say there should be no cod fishing in the North Sea and English Channel at all next year if the species numbers are to grow sustainably. The International Council for Exploration of the Sea says cod stock in the area has fallen by 61% since 2015. And the 4 astronauts who will be taking part in NASA's 10-day mission to orbit the moon say they want to pave the way for deep space exploration. The Artemis 2 expedition is due to launch early next year.
Radio 1
Dance. Your destination for non-stop dance.
with huge DJ sets
And massive dance bangers.
in their
Mix.
all day.
Every day.
And you just don't stop.
24/7 dance energy.
On Radio 1 Dance.
Listen on your smart speaker.
On BBC Sounds.
And now
on DAB+. This is 5 Live Sports with Steve Crossman.
listen on BBC Sounds.
We've had another goal in the Women's League Cup at the Joy Stadium. Nick Hatton.
Manchester 3, City 3, Everton won a rare Everton attack. Hikaru Kitagawa with a lovely finish from the edge of the box, just curled it round the defender and into the top right-hand corner. Manchester City 3, Everton 1.
Right, England go for glory in the Women's Rugby World Cup final on Saturday. 4 o'clock kickoff. You'll be able to watch it live on BBC One and iPlayer. We'll have live commentary on 5 Sports Extra Canada. Their opponents, of course, on the latest episode of Barely Rugby on the Rugby Union Weekly pod feed. England duo Amy Cockaine and Hannah Bottoman have been telling comedian and host Harriet Kemsley about where they're at emotionally as the big day approaches.
I'm not nervous now. I'm not a nervous person anyway.
No.
Maybe
You're not a nervous person?
No, I don't really believe in nerves. I think nerves are just excitement. So I'm excited. You know, like when you're nervous, what do you feel? Your heart races, you might be sweaty palms.
See, but I've heard this before, but how do you put that into action?
Well, you just you just associate
tell
that
yourself.
feeling with being excited, and you tell yourself,
Okay.
"I'm excited," and you are then.
Wow. Okay.
So when you go on a gig, are you excited for it or?
I am now.
You are now.
You are now. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. That's a good mindset.
Yeah.
But you do feel nerves.
I don't know. Yeah, like I'm not like Amy. I'm not a nervous person, but it will be sort of like just before kick-off. I'll have a little bit, and then whistle blows and. all
And you're
goes.
in it, so there's no time to have
Yeah,
nerves
you can't
and
think
actually
about
there, you're
anything
just
other
like-
than just trying to hit someone as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Which is your next thought, really.
Do you feel like, have you like celebrated your like getting this far? Like, do you feel like no, you're not? You can't.
Me
think
and
of
Hannah actually decided.
Yeah, we did.
We've not celebrated.
So we're not going to celebrate.
We've only earned another week. That's all we've done.
That's all we've done.
Not won anything yet.
Unless you win, you're losers.
Yeah.
That's what you think.
Yeah.
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 It's
I'm
like-
not saying that.
I
was
hate
trying
the
to-
whole participation.
Yeah.
No, you're a loser.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that for you though. I
Why?
think because you
Second
should be
place
so
is just
proud.
first loser, though, isn't it?
Oh, but that's the best loser.
Is
The
it?
biggest loser, as the TV show says. Yeah,
exactly.
you are the biggest losers.
Exactly.
Well, I've been a big loser many a times. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like we haven't been big losers.
Yeah.
We've been big losers.
But have you
sometimes.
been enjoying it? Like, can you feel the wins? Like,
Yeah, I think we're like we would have like I enjoyed that we won at the weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously.
but then
better
you're
than losing.
immediately like,
I think it's more just like we expect it of ourselves. We don't necessarily rock up to a game and expect to win without doing anything to get there.
but if you do the work, you're going to win.
Yeah. So we expect from ourselves that we'll do everything to win, if that makes sense.
And is that like a psychology that you've been taught, or that's just something?
That could just be me. You?
Yeah, I don't think we don't get taught that, but
No.
Yeah, because you know, like you have like psychologists or whatever that come into
Yeah.
sport, and they're like, you've
Yeah.
got to think like this. But you were just born with that kind of
We
belief.
were just born with it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty tough actually. Yep.
So you haven't been celebrating, you haven't been like drinking, you haven't been like,
No.
you just keep
No.
focused until.
Me and Aim might have a beer after the
Beer
game,
after
but
a game,
nothing
yeah.
too serious.
Yeah.
No, not drinking, saving it.
And then on
saving it.
Saturday, maybe you go crazy. You go crazy
If
either
we
way.
might, if we win, yeah.
Yeah.
If you score in the final, can we like have like sort of special celebration that you're going to do, like for the pod, like a Usain Bolt kind of thing, or like a Mo
Usain
Farah,
Bolt.
Like,
Is that you want Usain Bolt?
I don't know.
Well, it's probably
what's
like
what's your celebration?
like,
what
we
could
don't-
yours be?
Don't really have one really.
No, I was saying we could make one.
Yeah,
we
I
could
know.
start one now.
Yeah, but so what? You got any idea?
Oh,
like this maybe, or like woo, like I don't know, like a
Woo.
Or
yeah, like a woo,
big
or like
box, little
a.
box, cardboard box. What?
That's nice.
That's a terrible idea.
No, there's no
just
bad
haven't done
ideas.
that,
We're
we're just doing
spitballing.
ideas, yeah.
We're not bringing any ideas.
You're not bringing anything.
We're not pushing down ideas. We're
Jesus.
suggesting ideas.
Okay, right.
Maybe
the
like
first
a
game-
conga line or
Yeah,
something.
a
That'd be
conga
fun.
line.
That would be fun.
I think maybe
Yeah.
if we go for like something a bit more like just either that just involves us two, so that we don't need to like prep anyone
Right,
else
yeah.
in the team. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
First game we did a salute because it was my dad's birthday.
Yeah.
And he's also in the Air Force, but he's a higher up than I, so I would technically have to salute him. So we did a salute for him.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Um,
So maybe a salute for me. You think?
Maybe we could do a train because
Okay.
you were watching on the train.
Just trying to get that Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Maybe like doing a Wi-Fi return.
Not sure if she's watching, but
we'll have a proper thing.
Yeah, have a little
about
thing.
it.
And
Or
then
a
I'll be watching then. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I like
Oh
that.
yeah, a little train.
Harriet Kemsley there with Amy Cockayne and Hannah Bottoman. Rugby Union Weekly podcast feed, the latest episode of Barely Rugby, and the final Saturday, 4 o'clock for the Women's Rugby World Cup. 5 Sports Extra, BBC One and iPlayer. Half-time at Vale Park in the League Cup. Lee Blakeman.
Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1. Ezza's first goal for the club is the difference. Good build-up play by Martinelli. Ezza side-footed in first time from about 12 yards out. He could have had another 10 minutes before half-time, but was denied well by goalkeeper Gauci. Arsenal have dominated the ball, 86% possession at one stage, but just the one goal to show for it. Half-time, Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1.
We're almost ready for second half commentary then of Huddersfield Town 0, Manchester City 1. Players just making their way out. Tommy Smith is with us in studio all evening. What is it like, Tommy, when you're coming up against City and they're doing what they're doing tonight? They're moving the ball. I imagine it can be a little bit dizzying and sapping.
Oh, it's not nice. It really isn't. I mean, I'm just thinking back to a couple of Premier League games that we played against them when I was at Huddersfield, and I mean, that I was up against Leroy Sané on the day. I remember it very clearly. We got absolutely walloped. It was at the Etihad. It was a tough day. It was 6-1, the final score that day. So as you can imagine, it wasn't a nice day. Listen, they've got some fantastic players, and I think, as I say, what Huddersfield are doing tonight is trying to keep them at bay as long as possible. The longer it goes on 1-0, they're doing their job. I think going back to that game I've just touched upon there with 6-1, I think we might have been 3 or 4 down at half time. So yeah, it wasn't a great day for us on that day, but it looks like Huddersfield are, as I say, they're doing their job correctly tonight, and the longer they can keep it at 1-0, the better.
Yeah, Connor, just on Tommy's behalf, he'd quite like it if you stop mentioning all the times he's lost in Huddersfield teams to Manchester City.
Look, it's a long second half. I might be able to dig out a few more, Tommy. Be careful, right?
Right, well, we're nearly ready to go then. So, I mean, look, if Huddersfield Town are still in the game at 1-0 after 87 minutes, they'll be absolutely fine with it. It doesn't matter how many completed passes City have. So, we'll keep you up to date with all the other games. Remember, if you want the second half from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, that is on Sports Extra 3. Port Vale Arsenal, Sports Extra 2. Sports Extra is Celtic at Red Star in the Europa League, and we will keep you right up to date with Forest, who still lead at Real Betis by 2-1. Here on 5 Live, Huddersfield, Manchester City. Sue Smith, Conor McNamara.
Thanks very much, Steve. Just about to get back underway for the second half. No changes in personnel. 1-0 to Premier League Manchester City away at League One Huddersfield. Huddersfield, who've had 7 wins this season already in all competitions. Can they rouse something here? Can they make the Premier League visitors sweat a little bit? Or is City going to extend their lead here and build on it? Here's a chance. Marcus Harness on the attack for the first time in the second half for Huddersfield. Gives it to the right-hand side to Sorensen, who tries to cross, but it's well blocked away by Nico O'Reilly. Just looked like a chance was going to emerge there for Huddersfield, but it never really happened, Sue Smith.
No, it didn't, but that's a really positive start for Huddersfield Town, and that's what we've seen from them in the league. They do press aggressively, they press high, they win the ball back and create an opportunity, but Manchester City managed to get themselves back and stop the chance.
This is the joy of cup football. You know, they got to go for this. It doesn't matter if you lose 4-5, 6-0 tonight. You know, give it everything to not lose 1-0. And the longer it does stay this tight, the longer that Lee Grant will think, well, okay, maybe, just maybe. Let's have an update for the Europa League. Betis against Nottingham Forest. Charlie Slater.
Half-time, Real Betis 1, Nottingham Forest 2. Enthralling first 45 minutes. Betis in front through Cedric Bakambu, but Forest immediately struck back. Igor Jesus scoring the club's first goal in Europe since Steve Stone in 1996. He hit again 7 minutes later. Should be more for Forest, but they lead by 2-1.
Thanks very much. Manchester City will feel it maybe should be more for them, but can they be a bit more incisive in this second half here? They have possession at the back with John Stones. No real urgency on the ball. Plays a short pass to Nathan Ake, and then over into space for Savinho on the left-hand side. Sorensen goes over to try and make things tight for him. Foden's caught in possession, but he's so tricky as Phil Foden. He's so determined. Even when he looked like he'd lost that, he still managed somehow to hold on to it, and he's away into the penalty area down the left-hand side. Foden to the byline. Sorensen there to shadow him. He's very quick, Sorensen. Just when you think a winger's going to go past him, he keeps up with them. Here's Savinho now into the box, plays it for Nico O'Reilly, pulls it back to the edge of the 6-yard box, and Divine Mukasa's shot is just about smothered as the keeper Nichols picks it up. Second chance Mukasa's had in the game, both of them smothered.
Wow, I don't know how that didn't go in the back of the net. It all started from Phil Foden, like you mentioned, so tenacious in winning the ball back, and then they get the ball out wide, the delivery into the box, and yeah, it's actually really good defending. They just put their bodies on the line, Huddersfield, when the ball gets into the area.
So Divine Mukasa, this young teenager, given his debut by Pep Guardiola tonight, he found himself a marked man as the ball came to him just outside the 6-yard box. Needed one firm thrust of the ball, but too many defenders around him, and Huddersfield keep this deficit to the single one. Let's check in on Red Star against Celtic. Gavin Wallace.
0-0 at half-time. Connor Arnautovic had a really good chance a minute before with a volley from 3 yards out, whistled by, and Cameron Carter-Vickers should have scored for Celtic. Great free kick in, his header whistled by. Half-time, 0-0.
7 o'clock start in the Women's League Cup earlier on. Manchester City women against Everton. All over now, Nick Hatton.
Yes, it is. Manchester City 3, Everton 1. City getting their campaign off to a winning start. Jade Rose's 20th minute finish, giving City a 1-0 half-time lead. Yui Hasegawa and Viviana Miedemar look to have put the game to bed, but Kitagawa, lovely finish from her, 8 minutes from time, added some pride to proceedings, but Manchester City in the end far too good. Manchester City 3, Everton 1.
Mukasa fails to control a high bouncing ball, but Nico O'Reilly does get it under his spell for Manchester City. City playing from left to right as we look down. Black shirts, black shorts, white socks. Huddersfield in their traditional blue and white. Foden tries to return a ball to Savinho, but the impressive Sorensen nips in, and he's got the confidence here to take on Phil Foden and try and surge past him, and eventually the ball goes out for a throw-in to Manchester City on the left-hand side. Full house tonight at the Yaku Stadium. Manchester City in possession. John Stones inside the centre circle, rolls it short to Mateus Nunes on his right-hand side. No big high press from Huddersfield. They're happy for City to have it in that central third. Aki will give it to Foden. Short pass to Nico Gonzalez. Looks up to see where Oscar Bob is. Goes through Mateus Nunes, but it does reach Bob, the Norwegian, again. And Mateus Nunes has continued the run here. Bob gives it to him. City by the byline on the right-hand side. Back again to Oscar Bob. To Nico Gonzalez, 10 yards outside the penalty area, turns it himself, rolls it back across to Nathan Aki. City again spreading things wide in the right wing, all the way over to wide in the left wing, trying to prise across this Huddersfield defences. Savinho comes into a shooting position and lets fly, but even though City thought it deflected out for a corner, the referee Michael Salisbury says goal kick, that was wide.
Yeah, Savinho's appealing. Thinks it's gone out for a corner, but he does well. He starts out wide, and it should have been a corner. It does get deflected. He's just driving infield, gets it onto his right foot, deflects out for a corner.
Huddersfield have given away possession inside their own half. Oscar Bob gives it back to Nico Gonzalez. Huddersfield recovered quickly there, got bodies back behind the ball when they realised there was a problem. Nico O'Reilly now has it on the left wing for Manchester City, and he'll calmly roll it back to Nathan Aki. City in control of possession. Huddersfield wondering how are they going to get it down the other end. O'Reilly under pressure from Marcus Harness, and good pressure too as he wins a throw-in for Huddersfield. And then he runs to try and take it quickly and finds that all of his teammates have already been closed down by Manchester City defenders. That's what Huddersfield Town are up against tonight. Foden's goal separates them. Huddersfield Town 0, Manchester City 1.
Yeah, it is, and what Manchester City are trying to do is get as much width as they possibly can, but the wide players will come in central, and then it'll be the full-backs maybe that will give the width. Could be a midfielder going across. The way that they interchange positions, great to watch, but so difficult to defend against.
Strong challenge in the midfield. That was Dan Vost. And they're rolling up the sleeves here, Huddersfield. They're showing a bit of grit, and that's what Lee Grant will be pleased to see. That's got to be a bare minimum tonight against the quality of Manchester City, as Harkness here jumps with Nathan Aki, really leans into him too, but Aki is strong and holds on to possession. Foden gets it back down on the deck, gives it short to Nico O'Reilly on the left-hand side. He's allowed creep forward into Huddersfield territory. Foden rolls it back to John Stones. Stones then plays it down the right wing, looking for Oscar Bob again, and across comes Sean Rowan, and the ball goes out of play for a Manchester City throw. So Newcastle leading against Bradford. Joelinton and Osuna scoring the goals there. Joe Polina scored an overhead kick as Spurs are 2-0 up against Doncaster. Ebeyezi's got his first goal for Arsenal. They lead at Port Vale. Premier League clubs dominating against lower league opposition tonight in this competition. This is Nico Gonzalez, short to Mateus Nunes. To the sideline on the right, and Oscar Bob wearing blue boots. Back in field to Mateus Nunes again. Now John Stones, still in the central third. Savinho wants it wide out left. Good pressure from Harkness leaning into Stones. City have got to retreat, and it's all the way back to James Trafford.
Yeah, every time Manchester City get the ball, they are looking to get the ball out to Oscar Bob. He's been so dangerous, hasn't he? Especially in that first half. Can go left, can go right.
Huddersfield have got 2 away games next. They travel to Exeter in League One on Saturday. Here's an opportunity. Nico O'Reilly into the penalty area. Good save. Lee Nichols came out and he kept himself so big there. And O'Reilly tried to dink it over the keeper, but he had stayed erect. He stretched up an arm. Excellent save from Nichols.
Oh, it's a brilliant save for Nichols. O'Reilly just looks for the little dink over the top of him.
Down the other end come Huddersfield Town. Can that save just inspire them here, just rouse them a little bit, the League One team? They've had a good last few minutes. Sean Rowan back to the halfway line to Murray Wallace. Wallace, the former Falkirk player. Into the midfield again. Down goes Kasuma, free kick to Huddersfield Town. Manchester City just loosening their grip on the game over the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, it was the right type of finish from O'Reilly. As the ball comes out to him, the goalkeeper's coming out, Nichols, and he just tries to lift it over the top. He just dink it over the top. But it's brilliant from the goalkeeper, Nichols. He just narrows the angle, and it's just a massive left hand that just comes and manages to stop the ball. But it's really good play from Manchester City. The way that O'Reilly gets himself in.
It's a superb reaction. The keeper, who's body is sort of going down, but then he swings his arm as soon as he sees the dink from O'Reilly, and he makes a good save with the free kick. It's played into the penalty area and a chance, and it's over the top from Redmond. It was headed down to the far post, came across the 6-yard box, and Redmond, who had Phil Foden for company, got his shot away, but over the top.
Oh, he's had 2 chances now, one in the first half. This is the second chance. It's a wide free kick from the left-hand side, and they win the first header, and it falls to Redmond just at the far post. Just gets completely underneath it. He's looking to hit it back across goal, but goes over the bar.
It was Josh Feeney on loan from Aston Villa who rose to win the header initially. That was really good. Huddersfield now just had a couple of attacks in the last few minutes. It's something to build on. Can they turn the tide here and put pressure on Manchester City the way Grimsby did against Manchester United? What a turn that is from Savinho, though. However, he's offside. That was Brazilian DNA there, as he allowed the ball through his legs, ran around the other side. However, the flag was raised, much to Huddersfield's relief.
Oh, it was a brilliant bit of play from Savinho there. Like you say, he just dummies it. Everybody goes backwards, thinks he's going to go that way, and he just lets it run through his legs, and he's away. But yeah, just strays offside.
Huddersfield have it at the back. Lee Nichols chips it forward towards Marcus Harness. Harness, he gets a flick-on header, but Manchester City regained possession. Nico Gonzalez to Nico O'Reilly, back to Nathan Ake. City 1-0 in front thanks to Phil Foden's goal, which came in the 18th minute tonight on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Ake with the bright orange boots gives it to John Stones. Plenty backspin as he accurately plays it over the halfway line onto the instep of Rico Lewis. Rico Lewis, number 82 on his back. Plays it back to John Stones again. Now, quarterback style, he launches it out to the left wing. Out to Savinho. Glorious control to take it down on the chest and immediately juggle it. 2 touches before the ball hit the ground. Sorensen gets back goal side, but that was really impressive from Savinho. And he plays a 1-2 into the penalty area, and he tries to cut it back, but it's cut out by Kasumu. There's still work to do to clear the lines here, but they do get it away. Harness's clearance comes off Nico Gonzalez, and a throw into Huddersfield on the far side, and there's still just the goal in it with 10 minutes played now in the second half.
It's a really good battle on that left-hand side between Savinho and Sorensen. Sorensen's doing really, really well against him. He's defending, using his body, but then he's also looking to get himself forward. But yeah, we know the quality that Savinho's got. He'll just keep running at him.
Wonder what Pep Guardiola's making of all of this. Yes, he has made 9 changes, but is he expecting his team to have had more shots at goal than they've had in this game? You know, that Foden goal seems an awful long time ago, and I'm really struggling to think of a moment when Lee Nichols had to stretch himself to make a save, albeit City looked so dominant in terms of attacking territory, but that final pass is eluding them. That's a good turn by Divine Mukasa, and he's played a good ball now to Oscar Bob, stepping into the penalty area on the right wing. 2 defenders in front of him, tries to take them both on, and then a cross-come shot from Rico Lewis is deflected out for a Manchester City corner. That's the story of City's day, really. Coming forward, looking menacing, but not actually getting the final shot cleanly away.
Yeah, and I think you can praise Huddersfield Town and the way that they're getting themselves back into position and making it difficult for Manchester City. But yeah, I'm sure Pep Guardiola will be looking at his side, testing the goalkeeper a little bit more.
Corner to be taken by Phil Foden on the right-hand side as City come forward. Huddersfield have brought back everyone into the penalty area to defend this. And here it comes, short run up from Foden, well struck in. Good header though from Murray Wallace. Will put it out for another corner. And this time on the left as City come forward. Looks like Foden wants to take it again. He's running from one side of the pitch across to the other. So Murray Wallace and Josh Feeney, 2 old-style, if you like, centre-halves, big, dominant in the air, and they've won most that's come in high at them tonight. There's a little bit of pushing and shoving. In the Premier League, they would have looked at all that again, but of course, no VAR tonight in the League Cup, so no delay. They get on with it. Foden to take the corner from the left-hand side. 57.5 minutes on the clock at the Aku Stadium in Yorkshire. Cross hit from the left-hand side, headed away out of the penalty area and headed out with some distance too. And City, in fact, are going to retreat all the way back to the goalkeeper, James Trafford.
They've defended well from the set pieces, Phil Foden. He's done out-swinging, he's done in-swinging corners, but Huddersfield have certainly, they've got a real presence at that back line, and they've cleared well.
Throw into Manchester City on the right-hand side. Let's go back to St James's Park. Newcastle against Bradford. Ailey Barber.
Well, Bradford 2-0 down at the break, but they've had their best chance of the game at the start of this second half. Humphreys with a header at the back post. It was really good work from Toure pointing in the build-up, but Humphreys just couldn't get any direction or power on the header, straight into the gloves of Aaron Ramsdale, and then that woke Newcastle up. A really good chance for Elanga. Bruno flicked a Hull cross which hit off the woodwork on its way past the net. So Newcastle coming back alive, dominating again, but Bradford with a good chance. Newcastle 2, Bradford 0.
Premier League club at home there, and a Premier League club at home in North London. Spurs are hosting Doncaster. Here's Aaron Paul.
Spurs 2, Doncaster 0. The visitors with a real and energetic start to the second half. Again, getting into good positions, but to UC Olasanya, the latest to waste the finish, creating something good down the left and smashing his effort behind. 2-0 Spurs.
Thanks very much. Here at Huddersfield, Manchester City still lead by Phil Foden's goal to nil from the first half. We're approaching the hour mark now. Nico Gonzalez plays the ball up to Nico O'Reilly. Phil Foden gives it to the left wing to Savinho, back into Foden again. Foden with the outside of his left boot whips it across the edge of the penalty area to Oscar Bob on the right wing. Bob's got support from Mateus Nunes. They try to work a 1-2 between the two of them. Good strength by Bob to get on the second leg of it. It's chipped in. Feeney's backpedaling, wins the header. It comes down and a shot from Divine Mukasa is saved. That's 3 chances he's had. That's probably the best of them, but it wasn't the cleanest shot from Mukasa, and Manchester City's young debutant will have been wishing that he hit that a bit firmer.
Yeah, he couldn't quite get hold of it again. It's really good play. The wings they're using, both wide players, whether it's Savinho on one side, Oscar Bob. This time it's Oscar Bob, delivers the ball to the far post, and Mukasa, just doesn't quite strike it cleanly enough with his left foot.
It's a big night for Mukasa, teenager, given a start by Pep Guardiola. Here's Nico O'Reilly, allowed to turn to the penalty area, plays it in towards Oscar Bob. Good defending by Sean Rowan, and it's prevented from going for a corner as Huddersfield clear it away, and back to Nathan Aké and City prepared to come again.
Yeah, they just keep coming, but the centre-halves, Josh Feeney and Murray Wallace, they've been excellent, clearing things whenever the ball's been delivered into the box.
I think the longer this game goes on, we realise the importance of that Phil Foden goal in the first half. If this was still 0-0, I think City would be getting a bit anxious now as Bob tries to dribble, tries to take them all the way to the byline. Looked at the ball, went out of play, and the official agrees. The flag is raised. The ball had gone out of play before his cross, and that is a goal kick to Huddersfield, who are preparing to make a double change here. So coming on, Leo Castledine, who's on loan from Chelsea. He's been a regular in the team in League One this season, so he's got to come on. A midfielder, scored a spectacular goal against Sunderland in the last round of this competition. So warm applause around the stadium as Marcus Harless, who's run his socks off, particularly in the second half, is the player who makes way. And the other player coming on is Cameron Ashia. So Ashia, number 36, will come onto the field for this final half hour now. Redmond player making way there. So Cameron Ashia, who scored against Leicester in the first round of this competition, and he also scored against Reading in League One in early August. Can he produce something here, attacking player, against Manchester City? One goal would change everything for Huddersfield. And remember, if it was to finish level this game, there would be no extra time. Straight to a penalty shootout tonight. They've already won 2 penalty shootouts this season, Huddersfield. City certainly wouldn't want that drama. Here's Nico O'Reilly coming forward down the left-hand side for Pep Guardiola's team. Plays a 1-2 with Savinho. On to Phil Foden. Returns it to Savinho. Wonderful triangular passing from Manchester City, but the cross isn't great. Murray Wallace well positioned, and the Huddersfield Town defender is able to clear away. City still 1-up.
Yeah, the positioning defensively have been excellent, and I just think from a wide player's perspective, they're getting themselves into really good positions. Can you find your man? That players are getting forward, getting into positions, just not quite finding them.
There was a couple of minutes there when Huddersfield had an attacking threat, but otherwise it's been pretty much backs against forwards here. As Mateus Nunes' pass, which was intended for Oscar Bob, goes astray, and cheers from the Huddersfield fans as they get a throw-in left full-back position for them, and Sean Rowan wipes the ball on his shirt. Just outside the penalty area, left full-back position, throws it up towards the halfway line, won by the head of Mateus Nunes. Good accurate header too to pick out Savinho, who's been allowed to turn 10 yards outside the penalty area that City attack. He plays a 1-2 with Oscar Bob. Savinho's been on the right wing for most of the game, trying to come down the right-hand side here. Tackled by Sean Rowan, and the Huddersfield Town left-back is able to clear the ball away. Appeals that Mateus Nunes handled it as he collected there. The referee says no, play on. Manchester City have it again inside the central third.
Yeah, I was just watching Savinho. He's obviously come down to this right-hand side. He tricked himself there. He was so quick, he managed to trick himself, and Huddersfield managed to clear.
Last touch of Oscar Bob means another throw-in to Huddersfield. Sean Rowan to take. And Pep Guardiola prowling up and down inside his technical area, but he's not looked towards his replacements yet. If you weren't listening in the first half, two sons of former England striker Emil Heskey on the bench for City tonight. Jayden Heskey and Regan Heskey. Jayden's a midfielder, Regan's a forward like his dad. Jayden 19 years of age, Regan 17. Quite a story if one or both of them were to come on here. At the moment, Manchester City leading because of Foden's goal after 18 minutes. Chance for Castellan to come in the attack down the right-hand side, and that looks to be a trip by Nico O'Reilly. And it's given by the assistant on the far side. That's going to be a free kick to Huddersfield. And they haven't really had one of these tonight, Sue. A set piece in an attacking position. Can they make this count?
And that's what they'll be hoping, that they can make it count. And, you know, the delivery's got to be good. They've certainly got players with good height and good presence. So you think a good delivery into the box, get an opportunity if they take it. This atmosphere will just go up a notch.
Yes, it's the hottest ticket in West Yorkshire tonight, this game. And how they would love to impose a bit of discomfort on the famous Manchester City here in town tonight at the Yaku Stadium. Huddersfield 5th in League One, the third tier. Manchester City, who are still in the bottom half of the Premier League, awaiting this free kick to defend now. Here comes the delivery from Rowan, the left back. It's an in-swinger, it's close to Feeney, and Manchester City get it out for a goal kick. It was an opportunity, and it was well defended. Murray Wallace, I think, had the last touch on it. Couldn't get his header on target. There was bodies jumping all over him.
Yeah, do you know what? I think it was just a little bit behind him. It swung in with some pace, but he's got to try and shift his feet, and as he's in the air, can't quite get a good connection, Wallace, but good opportunity.
Right, let's get an update elsewhere. Let's go to Vale Park. Port Vale against Arsenal. Here's Lee Blakeman.
Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1, just the one chance since half-time. Ball over the top, found Martinelli, through on goal. Gauci came rating out of his area. The Port Vale goalkeeper made the tackle, completed the clearance, and that's the only chance since the break. Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1, 7 minutes gone in the second half.
Thanks very much. Here at the Yaku Stadium, Manchester City still leading by 1-0. That's a very confident drive forward by Nico O'Reilly. Salted dummy, pretended he was going to cut back, but then he surged on forward towards the penalty area. Savinho takes it off his toes. Mateus Nunes, shooting position. First touch takes the ball too far away from him. Gets on the end of a 1-2 from Oscar Bob. Now City still patiently trying to play in the perfect goal here to double their lead. Bob on the right-hand side, short to Mateus Nunes. So many passes tonight for Manchester City. A real whir in front of this Huddersfield Town defence, who've kept their concentration, who've kept the work rate high, and are going to have to keep doing it for another half an hour or so by the time the stoppages are added on. But Huddersfield will know they're still in with a chance of providing some sort of cup shock here if they can get a goal. One goal is all they need. Nathan Ake for City gives it short to John Stones. Into the midfield again to Nico O'Reilly. Good turn by Foden. Bit more space for Bob this time as he enters the penalty area. Gets the shot on target, but Nichols is down to save it comfortably.
And Phil Foden, he's just got his head in his hands. He'd made a really good run. He could have picked him out. Can't blame Bob for having a go from that position. He was inside the area, but Phil Foden was also in a good position.
Here come Huddersfield down the right-hand side. Leo Castellan has come on as a substitute. 7 league appearances this season for the young man on loan from Chelsea. But Huddersfield can't hold on to it in the familiar pattern of City just cruising their way through the midfield and getting up into an attacking position to lay siege on the edge of the Huddersfield penalty area. Foden plays it out to Savinho on the left-hand side. City have had such an enormous slice of the possession tonight, but Huddersfield denying them clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities. Nathan Ake, midway into Huddersfield territory, gives it to John Stones. All of City's outfield players are up in the final third of the field here. Given to Oscar Bob, level with the edge of the penalty area that City attack. Back deep to Mateus Nunes, back again to Nathan Ake. Sometimes at Manchester City it's kind of death by 1,000 cuts. They'll just wear you down and eventually get that second goal. Here's Savinho, clips it in. Oscar Bob jumps, gets his head to it. It falls for Foden with his back to goal. Back outside the penalty area comes City. Foden resets now, plays it short to Mateus Nunes. Back out to Oscar Bob, keeping the ball close to his feet. Now he surges towards the byline, gets the cross in ahead of Rowe, but headed away by Murray Wallace. Huddersfield can't hold on to possession as Manchester City get it back again, and Stones pings it out to the left wing. The accuracy of these crossfield balls is really impressive, but Savinho can't hold on to this one. Sorensen clears it away. Maybe a chance now for Huddersfield to try and break it into the opposition half. This is David Kasuma. He plays a crossfield ball over to the left-hand side. Ashia encouraged by the Huddersfield fans to take it on and move as far into Manchester City territory as he can, but he doesn't want to lose possession, so he turns and he rolls it back to Rowan. Kasumu again gets it in the midfield. Huddersfield grateful of a little defensive breather here in putting a few passes together, but then Mateus Nunes slides in and the ball goes out of play for a Huddersfield throw.
It's just a little bit safe there, wasn't it, for Huddersfield Town? They won the ball back, it comes out to the left-hand side. You could see there was 3 or 4 players taking risks, getting forward, and they just played the ball back and tried to keep it.
Ryder Cup coverage across 5 Live and Sports Extra this weekend. Tomorrow it's a 9 p.m. start for Chappers presenting a preview from Bethpage. And Friday, the 4 balls get underway, live on 5 Live, as here, Huddersfield Town come on the attack. Castellan tries a shot from miles out. Well, why not? It goes off target, but he let fly a few yards outside the penalty area. And the young man on loan from Chelsea, well, they're going to have to try a few more of those if they're to put Manchester City under pressure tonight.
Yeah, he certainly brought a positivity to the side when he gets the ball. He wants to go forward, he wants to drive at the defence, and he does that. Manchester City are backing off and gets his head up and thinks, why not? I'm going to have a go and test the keeper just wide of the far post.
Huddersfield Town preparing to make another change here. Manchester City we're going to make a swap too. That is to Gianni Reinders, who's getting instructions from Pep Guardiola. So it's not one of the academy kids, and I think this is probably as big a compliment as you can play to Huddersfield, that it's the big money signing from AC Milan who's going to be introduced. As Nico O'Reilly comes on another attack here for Manchester City. Savinho crosses, looking for Oscar Bob, cut out by Rowan. Huddersfield still hanging on to this 1-goal deficit, not allowing City to build on it. It's not a good clearance though. Mateus Nunes picks it up for Manchester City once again. Foden drills in a shot. You can't give him space on the edge of the penalty area. Huddersfield grateful there was enough bodies in the way, but they haven't been able to hold on to possession as Manchester City get it back again. Foden's goal the difference. Huddersfield Town 0, Manchester City 1 on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Nathan Aki 20 yards inside Huddersfield territory. City playing from left to right as we look down. Black shorts, Savinho, low ball into the penalty area, back heel by Nico O'Reilly, and dummy of a shot by Savinho, didn't fancy it on his right boot, keeps it alive though. Mateus Nunes allows the ball pass in front of his body, knowing it's going to Oscar Bob. Back in field again to Nico Gonzalez. Still this whir of Manchester City passing, possession, control, most of it though well outside the Huddersfield Town penalty area. John Stones back out to Mateus Nunes. Still the discipline is there from Huddersfield. They're not allowing any gaps despite City's increased efforts to stretch them and to separate them. Huddersfield are staying compact as a unit as they defend their penalty area. John Stones whizzes it out to the left wing again. Savinho, whose first touch is a glory to watch, breaks into the penalty area, pulls back across, but it's away from all of his teammates. Mateus Nunes will pick it up outside the box, tries to send it back in. There's a header down. This is Nico Gonzalez, can't get the shot away. An attempted shot by Mukasa, blocked again. They've done very well in closing him down tonight. This is Oscar Bob. City just recycling it again and again. Foden pulls it back across the penalty spot, and groans from City fans as Castellan is able to come away with possession, and Huddersfield should clear it here.
There's just so many bodies in that defensive area. When Manchester City get the ball out wide, get deliveries into the box, it's so difficult to try and pick out a man. Huddersfield Town have done brilliant to defend the onslaught of Manchester City's attacks.
Huddersfield hoping they'll get one chance down the other end. They've got to try really hard not to concede a second. That's what keeps the dream alive. City in front here, Newcastle in front at home to Bradford, Spurs in front at home to Doncaster, and Arsenal in the lead away at Port Vale. As this is City in possession. This is Phil Foden playing a pass wide over to the far side, controlled by Savinho. Rico Lewis controls with his chest, but he's ushered away from the penalty area. City still have it here, back to John Stones near the centre circle, and Huddersfield still chasing every shadow and ensuring that there's no space left and no gap that City can exploit, as Foden gives it on to Oscar Bob on the right hand side. Back in field again, Mateus Nunes to John Stones, midway inside Huddersfield Town territories. Almost 73 minutes on the clock now. Just the 1 goal between the teams. Nathan Aki gives it out to Savinho. Sorensen comes to try and close him down. Savinho dancing, twisting, trying to shrug off the attentions of the Danish defender, who's done well against the tricky Brazilians so far tonight. Here's Nico Gonzalez just in front of the D. No room to get a shot. Has to turn and swivel around, head up, looking for options. Picks that of Oscar Bob on the right wing. City again trying to stretch the field. Huddersfield still working hard. Both teams are preparing to make double changes. We told you Tijani Reinders is coming on for City. There's also going to be another introduction as well. We'll confirm in a moment. I think it's going to be one of the Heskey brothers. Jayden Heskey is going to get his Manchester City debut in just a moment. He's the midfielder, the 19-year-old. Savinho, edge of the box for City, gives it to Foden. A few yards back from the D, central location. City give it to the right-hand side to Oscar Bob. It's mesmerising at times, this from City, but it's a repeated pattern over and over again. Mateus Nunes tries to shoot, blocked down by Sean Rowan. Pinball on the edge of the penalty area. Lukasa can't shoot. Foden, unselfish, gives it to Savinho, and it's in. That's the second that City want. That might well put this cup tie to bed, and that was brutal from Manchester City as they just wore Huddersfield down. Persistent pressure inside the penalty area. Very clever from Foden, and a smart finish from Savinho. Huddersfield 0, Manchester City 2.
Well, the amount of passes that Manchester City have had here, and Huddersfield are putting their body on the line, trying to block the chances. When it falls to Phil Foden centrally, he knows there's 2 or 3 players around him, gives the ball out to Savinho on the left-hand side, and he just powers it past Lee Nichols, hits the crossbar and goes in, gets it onto that left foot. His touch is really good, takes it out of his feet, which just allows him to hit it first time. Brilliant from Foden, real powerful finish from Savinho.
So the changes now come on for Huddersfield, but a different assignment for them now. They hope they were coming on to try and nick an equaliser. Now it's a 2-goal deficit. While the changes are made here, let's get an update on Celtic's progress against Red Star. Gavin Wallace.
Oh, they're making progress. They've just went 1-0 up. Iheanacho on at half-time. He's already repaid his manager. Nygren finds him just a really good space at the penalty right in the penalty spot corner. It just floats nicely through to him. He takes the touch with the left foot, sends the keeper the wrong way. It's a great goal for Celtic. Red Star 0, Celtic 1.
Goal at Newcastle, Eddie Barber.
And this one is done and dusted as well. Newcastle 3, Bradford 0. Joe Linton with his second of the night. Really good build-up play from Bruno Guimaraes. He held the ball up, he waited, he rolled it into the path of Joe Linton. With one touch and finish, the Brazilian has put this tie to bed. It is Newcastle 3, Bradford City 0.
What about Nottingham Forest back in Europe after decades and decades? Away at Betis, Charlie Slater.
Still leading by 2-1, 13 minutes played of a rather disjointed second half so far. A triple change for Betis at half-time. Maybe he's thrown the game off kilter, but you've got to love Ange Postecoglou. 2-1 up, away from home, in Europe. He hooks a defensive midfielder and he brings on an attacker.
We've missed him, let's be honest. It's not been long without Ange, but we've missed that sort of antics. Let's check in at Tottenham. Tottenham's progress at home to Doncaster. Here's Aaron Paul.
Doncaster so close to pulling one back. Glenn Middleton, free kick right side of the D, curled it towards goal, keeper beaten, it hit the side netting, rolled behind the net, and those Donny fans thought it had gone in. Spurs still lead 2-0.
And while we're going around the grounds, let's check in at Arsenal. They're away at Port Vale. Lee Blakeman.
Port Vale 0, Arsenal 0. Not many chances created in the second half, but that lad is on. Max Dowman, the 15-year-old, has just come on to replace Bukayo Saka with just under half an hour to go. It's still Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1.
Well, Huddersfield have made their double change here. They've taken off defender Lasse Sorensen. They've brought on Jay Sway. They've also brought on another forward in the shape of the Serb, Bojan Radulovic. But it's difficult for them now. That second goal is key for Manchester City and changes the complex of this game entirely. Time running out too, Sue Smith, 13 minutes to play.
Yeah, at 1-0 Huddersfield were always in it, and you could sense that the crowd really believed that. At 2-0 Manchester City can just relax that little bit more. I'm surprised that Alfie May, Joe Taylor maybe haven't come on for Huddersfield Town.
Always going to be difficult for third-tier opposition against the Premier League might of Manchester City, and yet the work rate has been there throughout from Huddersfield. They haven't caught any breaks themselves. Nothing really fell in their favour, despite a real resolute defensive performance. And I'm sure Lee Grant will speak in very warm tones about his team's defensive efforts tonight. But when you're up against the likes of Foden and Savinho and Oscar Bob and these guys, it's just so difficult.
Oh, it is, and they just wear you down, and yeah, you've got to praise how defensively solid and, like you say, resolute they've been. It takes a lot of discipline to do that.
Rico Lewis here pushes in front of Savinho. We've got a second goal now. They took off Sorensen, the right back, so he's got more room to manoeuvre. Good challenge though comes in, and the ball goes out for a corner kick to Manchester City. I think that was Jay Sway who got back in time to put it out for the corner.
Yeah, it was a substitute, came back and managed to get the important touch, because Savinho, his first touch is brilliant. It takes him into the area past the defender. That second touch just allows the defender to get back and put the challenge in.
Jaden Heskey is on. He played for the first team on the USA Tour at the start of last season. Jaden Heskey tonight, his debut for the first team in competitive action. And another goal at Newcastle. Ailey.
Oh, you talk about the magic of the cup. You don't get much more magical than this.
No.
Newcastle fan Andy Cook has pulled one back for Bradford. He came and watched as a boy, idolised Alan Shearer. He's never played here before. He's just recovered from an ACL injury this season. He is on the pitch at St James's Park, and he has had an absolutely brilliant finish off the underside of the bar. And in magical moment, Newcastle 3, Bradford City 1.
That is what dreams are made of. Here at Huddersfield, 2-0 to Manchester City. Foden and Savinho, two of the big guns, getting important goals for Pep Guardiola's team, and 10 minutes now to go.
It's difficult now for Huddersfield, isn't it? You think if they go for it and they commit men forward, you know what Manchester City can do. They'll exploit all the gaps that you leave. Or do you just sort of stay and be defensively resolute, that they have been for the majority of the game?
Huddersfield have got a couple of away games after this. They go to Exeter in League One on Saturday. They go to Harrogate next Tuesday in the Football League Trophy. Huddersfield's next home game here will be the visit of Stockport. This has been a high-profile game in the spotlight tonight. Full house game on television, live and 5 Live as well. And they have done their best, but against an opponent who knows how to get it done in this sort of competition. Manchester City 8-time winners of the League Cup and would appear to be on their way through to the 4th round. But you never know in football. Stranger things have happened. Free kick to Huddersfield on the halfway line. That was a challenge on Radulovic, the Serb attacker who's recently come on. So Huddersfield, who have spent so much of this game back defending on the edge of their own penalty area, and you can tell so much by the body language. This is sort of trudging forward rather than the hungry sprint forward it would have been had there just been the 1-goal deficit.
Yeah, and it's difficult. It's a different way that they normally play as well, that they've had to be a lot more defensive in this game. They will have known that against Manchester City, but now they've maybe got to try and change tact a bit.
Free kick is taken by Sean Rowan. He comes down outside the penalty area. Flag is raised on the far side, so one of those Huddersfield players had strayed off as the free kick was taken to them, and that's a rudimentary error that will disappoint them. Steve Meredith is the assistant on the far side, and he raised his flag. So free kick to Manchester City now, and they will take their time over this on the edge of their own penalty area. If you're joining our coverage late on 5 Live, Phil Foden after 18 minutes, accurate challenge to the bottom corner, and then Savinho in the 75th minute after a mesmerising, almost hypnotic, non-stop attack inside the penalty area from City. I mean, they must have had 40-50 passes in around the final third before Savinho put it into the back of the net, and it was just one pass too many. And we mentioned the sort of death by 1,000 cuts. That's what it was for Huddersfield there, that killer second goal.
Yeah, it was, and they just wear you down. Just the ability to do that, and watching John Stones and Ake, the way that they play the ball out from the back, starts from them.
An interesting change coming in a minute from Manchester City. We'll tell you about it after Savinho here chops back at himself on the edge of the penalty area, gives it to Nico Gonzalez, a powerful shot that rises over the crossbar. But City are about to bring on, so first of all, the other Heskey brothers. So that's some story. Regan Heskey comes on, two sons of Emil Heskey on the pitch, both making their Manchester City debuts together. But another good story, and there will be boos because of the geographical nature of where we are, but Calvin Phillips, once a very prominent Leeds United player, is going to come on. The forgotten man at Manchester City is going to get a run out here in the closing stages. Calvin Phillips.
Yeah, and it's great to see him back, and like I say, there's a fair few boos around the stadium, which was always going to be the case, but we spoke about him, didn't we, before the game, and we were saying that such a quality player for England and for Leeds, and just not quite happened for him at Manchester City. His loans maybe haven't quite happened, so you just want him to get back to those levels that we know that he can get to.
Difficult times at both West Ham and Ipswich. But at his prime, he was some player, Calvin Phillips, and he's still in his 20s. There is still time to recapture that magic. He's on into that holding role, the Rodri role, if you like, having replaced Nico Gonzalez. at the base of the midfield. And having heard the boos from the Huddersfield fans, a roar of there's only one Calvin Phillips to the Manchester City fans, and that is nice to see because he's not played for the team in such a long time. This is his first appearance for Manchester City since December 2023. It's almost 2 years since Calvin Phillips has played for his parent club, but City fans letting him know that he is loved by them, which is nice to see and to hear.
Yeah, really nice.
And look, it's not really personal about Phillips, it's because he played for Leeds. That's why they're booing. It's nothing to do with him personally, It's Leeds they don't like, not Calvin Phillips. 2-0 to Manchester City, 5 live on BBC Sounds tonight. Tell you what, Emil Heskey will be a proud dad, won't he? Regan Heskey, 17 years of age, and Jaden Heskey, and they're both on the field together. And this isn't a team full of academy graduates, it's the two of them and then loads of first team regulars.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I'm sure Emil Heskey will be really proud, but two promising players. I'm really looking forward to watching them here.
John Stones, the base of the Manchester City defence, plays it over to Rico Lewis, who's operating in the sort of left full-back position now. He'll roll the ball back to Nathan Ake. City have been in control of the tempo of this game all the way through. Now no longer with quite the urgency that they have to go and secure an important goal. I mean, they'd love to add another one just for the cherry on top, but Ashia here runs out of space as he tries to attack down the left wing for Huddersfield, and Lee Grant, the Huddersfield Town head coach, will play ball boy to pick it up and to place it into the palm of Mateus Nunes to take this throw in for Manchester City. More live football coming up on Saturday. Choice of listening at 3 o'clock. We'll have Palace against Liverpool on 5 Live, and you can listen to Chelsea against Brighton if you prefer over on Sports Extra. Plenty Ryder Cup coverage on 5 Live and Sports Extra over the weekend as well. Right, comfortable lead for Manchester City here. What about Celtic away at Red Star? Gavin Wallace.
They've just been pegged back. It's Red Star 1, Celtic 1. Arnautovic, your man formerly of West Ham, getting in front of all the Celtic defenders for about 3 yards, taps at home. Celtic all at sea, and they've got it all to do. Red Star 1, Celtic 1.
It's Michael Arnautovic, who was in the Inter squad that reached the Champions League final last season, now playing with Red Star in Belgrade. As Manchester City have possession with Oscar Bob on the right wing, but good work from Sean Rowan again, helped out by Cameron Ashia, and then they try to break into Manchester City territory, but Pep Guardiola, having conceded that late goal at Arsenal, I'm sure he'll be extra stern about no conceding late goals here today.
Oh, absolutely. He'll be saying make sure we get a clean sheet, and I just think what Huddersfield Town have done well, they just did it there where Manchester City have got good possession, and just as they're going to play that final ball in, they double up and they make sure that the pass isn't easy for Manchester City. They've done that for large periods in this game.
Here they come again. Castledine plays it forward, controlled by Radulovic. He is fouled, is he, on the edge of the tee? Referee had a good close look at that. Two players came together. One of them was Jaden Heskey up against Radulovic. And the referee decided there was no foul. It was just a coming together of the two of them. And to be fair, both got up on their feet and played on here to Gianni Reinders, neat and tidy on the edge of his own penalty area. Plenty of space for Rico Lewis to bring the ball up towards the halfway line now. So the draw will take place once that Port Vale Arsenal game finishes. That kicked off 15 minutes after the other EFL Cup games this evening. There's been plenty of goals at St James's Park tonight. Newcastle against Bradford, another for Ailey Barber.
Another one and another one for Newcastle. Bradford had pulled one back, but Newcastle restored their 3-goal lead. Really good play from Lewis Miley, driving through the Bradford City midfield. He fed it to Harvey Barnes, and his cross to the back post was perfect for William Oshola to tap in for his second goal of the evening, his third goal of the season, and then now his 5th goal in Newcastle colours. It's been a good start to the season for Oshola. His Newcastle 4, Bradford City 1.
Regan Heskey tried to turn inside the penalty area. He left the ball behind him, full of enthusiasm to make a mark in his Manchester City debut. Good battling for the ball in the midfield from Calvin Phillips, but ultimately he loses out, and Jay Sway has a chance to counter-attack. Could Huddersfield get even a consolation here? This is Ashia, just outside the box. Shoot! Oh, it's come off the inside of the post! You can't get any closer than that! What a brilliant shot! That would have been spectacular, but it comes off the inside of the post, and it remains 2-0 to Manchester City. That was almost a deserved goal for Huddersfield Town. John Stones wins a header on the penalty spot. Late pressure from the League One club, but Manchester City still with a 2-goal lead.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that was a brilliant attempt on this left-hand side. The substitute comes on, just drives in field, and he's just looking for that far corner, hits the post and comes back. Thought it had gone in. Brilliant attempt from him.
Oh, you're talking millimetres from perfection.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's way outside the penalty area. The bend, the swerve, Trafford dived, he was nowhere near it. Comes back off the inside of the post. As Ashley, the player who had that shot, has just handled the ball on the edge of the Manchester City penalty area as he tried to control there. So that is going to be a free kick for Pep Guardiola's team. So already before tonight, in the fourth round with Grimsby, Brentford, Palace, Swansea, Brighton, Cardiff, Fulham, Chelsea, Liverpool, Wycombe, Wolves, Wrexham. Looks like City joining them. Newcastle surely 4-1 up tonight. Tottenham with a cushion. Arsenal still just the 1 goal in front against Port Vale. But a lot of Premier League clubs going through to the fourth round of this competition as the City fans away to our right. As they tend to do when they know they're about to win a game, they turn, they lock arms, and they bounce up and down to the pause now. Closing stages into the 90th minute now. Calvin Phillips is fouled from behind, and that's a free kick to City again. Susan.
Yeah, you can see Calvin Phillips looking to get on the ball early. He's looking to get the ball off the defence, and can he ping it out wide?
Phillips launches along, crossfield ball out to the left wing, controlled by Heskey, and then a low ball comes in. Oh, Oscar Bob, it was left for him, and I don't think he was quite expecting it to be left for him. And so a bit of a let off there. Huddersfield get possession and a chance to clear the ball away. Now we're getting instruction to go for an update from somewhere else. We'll just confirm where that is in a moment. This is Ben Wiles in possession for Huddersfield, and it's going to be Port Vale that we're going to go. So Port Vale against Arsenal. Lee Blakeman.
Vale 0, Arsenal 1, but a chance for Port Vale. Devante Cole, 3 goals in his last 3 games, on as a sub, picked it up, hit a dipper from 25 yards out, didn't dip quickly enough. Still Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1.
3 minutes been added on for extra time here, and just for the first time tonight, evidence of Huddersfield Town fans beginning to make their way towards the exit. That second goal, the killer. Brave performance tonight for the team, 5th in League One, and it would appear their League Cup charges coming to an end, having already knocked out Leicester in Premier League Sunderland. Castledine comes forward, gives it out to the right hand side. Jay Sway, who's looked good since coming on, returns it to Castledine. He's going to win a corner to Huddersfield. Can they get a goal to send the supporters home with something to cheer tonight?
Well, the subs have certainly made a difference since they've come on for Huddersfield. They've been very positive, looking to drive at Manchester City, and certainly cause that back line some problems.
Big fan of Jay Sway's name. That just suits radio commentary when it comes to the attack. Jay Sway. So a corner to Huddersfield. They might as well all go up for it now. Manchester City back defending inside the penalty area. Stoppage time at the Aku Stadium. 2-0 to Manchester City. Corner comes in, disappointing. Met by Jayden Heskey at the front post, and Manchester City are able to clear away. Ben Wiles will pick it up. Rolls it back to the halfway line again. Manchester City not pushing out too far because they know Huddersfield are going to launch this back towards them. Jay Sway again rolls it back to the goalkeeper Nichols. Not much he could have done tonight about either of the goals, Sue. I mean, expertly dispatched by Foden and Savinho.
Yeah, absolutely, and he pulled off a very good save as well, didn't he, when I think it was Savinho went through and looked to I know it was Nico Gonzalez actually, wasn't it?
Here's Regan Heskey. That's a good turn. Shot on target, parried away by Nichols. Too hot to handle from the goalkeeper there, but Regan Heskey, only 17 years of age, drilling it in. Not a million miles away from creating a wave there, getting a few headlines on his debut.
I think that's the thing, isn't it, when you come on as a substitute, you just want to come on and make an impact and just show how good you are, enjoy yourself. And yeah, he's been given his opportunity and wanted to try and score on his debut. It'd be brilliant for him.
Nice swerving run to get into the position. Then it's almost one of those where he's thinking, don't blast it over the top. You know, really concentrate on not hitting it high, and then didn't quite hit it as powerfully as he might have done. 2-0 to Manchester City, 30 seconds remaining of stoppage time. City's name about to go into the draw for the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. And for Pep Guardiola, busy times continuing. That run from the Manchester derby through to hosting Napoli in the Champions League, the visit to Arsenal away tonight in West Yorkshire. City have got Burnley at home in the Premier League. on Saturday. Then they go to Monte Carlo next week, a game that you can hear on 5 Live. Monaco against Manchester City. I'm very much looking forward to going on that trip.
Nice.
Sue, you won't be surprised to hear, as the final whistle blows, and City have done the job tonight. They did not blow the doors off, but they have got the job done. The goals from Phil Foden in the first half, from Savinho in the second half, and Pep Guardiola's team, with little drama, make their way through to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, they were obviously the dominant side, had a lot of possession, some quality goals. Phil Foden was instrumental in everything positive that Manchester City did. Got to praise Huddersfield and how they defended and made it very difficult for Manchester City to have a lot of shots on target, but obviously the better side on the night has gone through.
Well, a solid effort from Huddersfield. They haven't let themselves down here by any stretch. And you think of all those heavy defeats, Steve, that Tommy Smith suffered over the years. This one looks much better in comparison, doesn't it? It's 2-0 to Manchester City tonight. Sorry, Tommy.
Connor, thanks very much for that, Connor. Appreciate it.
I mean, look, it is, and there's a few of these going on tonight, so I can tell you it's just a bit of a job done performance from City, no more, no less, but they didn't need to do any more than that.
No, they didn't, and I think Pep Guardiola will be happy that he's been able to give some of the youngsters some minutes. He's been able to give some of the players that have been out injured some minutes, some more game time. They've been able to rest players in this real sort of busy period, and yeah, they were just quality on the ball, as we know they are, and they were just trying to break down a very solid Huddersfield Town side, and they managed to do it with the quality players that we know they've got, Savinho and Foden, with that little bit of class that was needed, and yeah, job done. I think that's probably the best way to describe it.